All right, did that work? Let's see. Update successful. Can you see or hear me right? Excellent. Thank you, Lenina. Thank you, Claire. Perfect. Hello, Becca Paintmore. What's shaking, everybody? Welcome back to Paleontologizing. Welcome back to Eastern Utah. Welcome back to the earliest Cretaceous Cedar Mountain Formation, where I'm out here excavating dinosaurs and collecting data with the Utah Geological Survey. We're out kind of near the town of Moab, kind of near the town of Cisco, Utah. We're out in the middle of nowhere, but in the best possible way, because it's in magical places like this little valley called Doling's Bowl, that we find scads of dinosaurs, and we've got a new species of dinosaur, or several really, that we're excavating here at the quarry right now, and I'm glad you're here. If anyone's here for the very first time, let me introduce myself. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and this is my means of doing science outreach, trying to show everybody what paleontology is all about, why it's important, and how we do it. You know, everybody's seen depictions of dinosaur digs in movies and TV shows and video games and stuff like that. But this is the real deal, and I'm lucky enough to be able to, bring it to you at home. Hopefully you're someplace much cooler than I am right now, temperature-wise. But I'm able to bring this to you thanks to the magic of Twitch and satellite internet, which I've got going on right here. Let's look at our current conditions. In the shade, it is 106 degrees, 18% humidity, so fairly humid actually. We got some rain last night, so it's moistened things up some. Yeah, 106 Fahrenheit. What is that in Celsius? Yeah. And Pepper Nickel says, "Hi Danny, it's Jameson. Oh hey, let me go show you. Here's Jameson over here. Jameson, meet Jameson."
Hi.
Yeah. It was fun talking with Jameson earlier, just about paleo stuff. Jameson is going into his senior year in high school.
Yes.
So, up until this last night, he was the youngest member of our crew. But we've got two little ones running around. I think they've gone over the hill for right now. Probably cooling off over in the vehicle. Yeah. But hopefully they didn't flee because of the live stream. But anyway, so the current youngest member of the quarry crew is Jameson.
Yeah, we got the jackhammer out and got rid of all this stuff.
Yeah, that was
very happy
nice.
about that.
So lots more room to dig and getting down to the bone layer, and I think we even have a decent bone over here. I heard we had a vert earlier. I haven't even seen it yet. Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. Aurora spot.
Yeah.
Nice. Vertebral centrum right there. This doesn't look like much yet, chat, but it will.
And there's a rib over there.
A rib too?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
No, the rib, that was the one from yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Never
Yeah.
mind.
So yeah, there's our first semi-identifiable dinosaur bone of the season. And we had a nice tooth earlier too. Actually, do you want to pull up that photo on your phone when you got a minute, Jameson? We had an iguanodont tooth earlier that's already been wrapped up. But there it is. Nice. Yeah. You see that nice keel right there in the middle? Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
Here's the...
So there we go. Yeah. He's over there he or she over there in the bin. Sorry, in the plastic tote. You say bin around people from the UK and they think you mean the garbage. So, yeah.
Let's not put the fossils in the bin.
Exactly. But yeah, good stuff. Pate B says it's like an RPG in itself out there. It's like a rocket-propelled grenade, really? Huh. I guess it is pretty hot, huh? But yeah. Nice vert there, Laura.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, excellent. Doesn't look like much yet, but
No, but I mean,
it's going to be pretty once we.
it looks like underneath there.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
the fact that we've got a smooth.
I mean, I think it looks nice, but people at home are watching
Yes.
it going like, "That's a dinosaur bone, really? It looks like a." But I assure you, chat.
This looks
Yeah.
nice and smooth.
Yeah.
It's continuing here. It's not broken off. And
Is that
maybe
like
it
a-
continues here.
Oh, that could be a transverse process or neural spine, maybe.
Yeah, I think the new arch is like here.
Oh, okay, so that's the top.
I think.
Cool. That would make sense if that's a zig sticking off the side.
Um,
A zygapophysis.
yes. So just gonna like bring back here a bit, and
Yeah.
then we can put it on a pedestal.
Nice. Yeah, literally.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, we'll be continuing to track progress there throughout today's stream. Anything exciting going on over here, Henry and Macy?
Well, Macy found a good number of bones
Yeah, there's
just
a number
today.
of bones in
Nice.
this area.
It's a really good area.
So
Shoot.
there's some here and here, here. There's a bigger piece here that we're thinking is an osteoderm.
Yeah, let me go around that side and we'll take a look from that angle.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, so there's some here for sure. We've got this little piece here, but nothing as intact as Laura's.
Right, yeah.
Yet.
Not
so,
yet.
Yeah,
We'll see.
but I think we're on our way.
Nice, yeah, thank you. Cool.
So, this right here, this piece right here, I'm suspecting that it might be another tooth. But I'm not sure because it has this keel texture right here.
Yeah, I can see the
I actually found like half of it and then found the other half in the bin.
Nice.
So,
That's why we
doing-
have those buckets, yeah.
yeah. No,
It's our-
bucket.
our
Not bin,
insurance
not
policy.
bin. Yeah.
Throw it in the bin, bucket.
Throw it in the bin.
In the dustbin.
This one that I was talking about earlier on, like
Oh, yeah.
Told to put things in the bin.
a little bit too big, huh?
And being told to grab a bin and me looking for like somewhere to put rubbish.
Yes.
And almost throwing things into. I was like, no, sorry. I mean, in British English, a bucket. Oh, sorry.
That was what we were talking about. I was like, you probably shouldn't throw them in the bin.
I said, yeah, I gotta stop using the word bin when we've got folks from the
This
UK
was
around.
yeah, last year it was a real miss. Thing. And
Oh,
I remember Ethan telling me to find. He was like, "Oh, can you grab a bin?" And I spent like 20 minutes trying to find like
A trash
actual-
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, no, sorry, I literally meant a bucket." And I was like, 20 around.
Two nations divided by a common language, is that the phrase? Yeah. Yeah, anyway, I think I forgot the part of my spiel where I say if you've got any questions, chat. That's kind of the bread and butter of our streams. The fact that this is a live broadcast and you can interact with me via the chat. If you have any questions, things you're curious about, things you're concerned about, whatever, you know. If you just want to spam a bunch of emotes, you know, be my guest. The interactivity is what makes these things special, and the fact that it's in real time. You know, I want you to feel like you're really here, but without having to deal with, you know,
Look, we're all over here like this.
109 degrees. Again, hopefully you're someplace much cooler. But yeah. Becca Paintmore says, how much paraloid do you guys get through in a week? It depends how many bones we find. We'll go through a ton of glue if we have a lot of bones. Or if they spill. If we spill the glue, we'll go through more of it.
You know, that's how it works, yeah.
Yeah.
My
So.
last one, I glued my notebook pages together by accident.
Oh shoot! It sucks when that happens. Yeah.
We haven't gone through much so far.
Yeah. Again, this is only day 3 of digging.
This area, as long as they're generally fairly small.
Yeah. And when I worked in the Hell Creek, we'd go through sometimes maybe like a half gallon of Vinac in a day. Like at a Triceratops quarry, it's like there's a thirsty femur. It'll drink up like maybe a half liter of glue. Luckily, it's not really like that here. The bones tend to be a lot smaller. Don't use as much of the glue because it does get expensive. Yeah. Steely Dan says we're going to see a Jim soon. We will. Jim will be here in about a week and a couple days, maybe?
About a week, I think.
Nice.
Just maybe next time.
Yeah,
I think
cool.
he said like Friday or Saturday. Something
Nice.
Like that.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so we'll have Papa Jim will be out here pretty soon. And we may even have Fisher out here in about a week or so. Maybe 2 weeks. Fisher's in Australia right now. But he was supposed to be out here, I think, on the 22nd or something. But I think he was having too good of a time out there in Straya. So he's probably going to stay there for the time being. And hopefully he'll get to come out here to spend some time with Fisher McDermott, my only begotten son. Yeah. And Vento Norte says, have you ever been to any other part of the world? No, I was born right here. And yeah, I'm kind of geo-locked, you know? But at least there's dinosaurs. No, I'm just kidding. I live in California. I drove here to Utah from there. Earlier this summer, I was over in Wyoming and then Montana digging up dinosaurs. And prior to that, back in May, I went to Florida to work with leatherback turtles. I went to the UK last November to attend a scientific conference, present some research, and visit a bunch of fossil sites and stuff. But apart from that, yeah, I've only ever really been around North America and a little bit of the Caribbean and the UK. My travels haven't taken me to many other far-flung places yet, but hopefully that'll change in the next few years. But yeah. Had the cap at Danny there. Verbally, maybe? Becca Paintmore says, I start a new job on Monday. Gonna save up to come visit you guys across fun. That'd be awesome, Becca Paintmore, yeah. Congrats on the new job and good luck. That sounds awesome. I hope it goes well. And Samu says, that's a cool hat. Thank you. This is my sun helmet. Helps keep my brain from frying in the sun because it's pretty hot here. Let's see what this thermometer says. 104. Yeah. Not too bad. Could be a lot worse. Yeah. And Akira Clip says, any update on that claw? Yeah, so the claw that Denver Fowler found a few weeks ago back in Montana, I thought it was either an ornithomimosaur, like an ostrich dinosaur, or a tyrannosaur, but a hand claw from either of them. It turns out it was an ornithomimosaur, an ostrich dinosaur. So that was cool to find. Yeah, that was a pretty photogenic little element. It's always lovely when you find a fossil that pretty live on stream, and really grateful that Denver was so eager to share that with everybody at home. Speaking of sharing things with folks at home, I just saw a little lizard dart underneath this tarp. Let's see if we can meet this little guy. Where'd you go, lizard friend? Oh, there you are. Oh, so fast. There we go, little lizard buddy. Zoom. How you doing? Oh, pretty scared. There's so many little lizards out this year, and I have a hypothesis about that. I think it's because they had a really, really mild winter. So, I don't know if they got any snow here at all this past winter. Things have been pretty warm. I think that might be good conditions for the survival of baby lizards. So we're just seeing them all over the place. I think they've been having a really good year so far, which is cool. It's cool to see. We get a lot of really cool lizards in this area. In this valley in particular, we get these little fence lizard type guys. I think that's what that was. We get long-nosed leopard lizards, and we get these beautiful collared lizards too. I've heard people say that they're the most beautiful lizard in North America. We get them out here, and they get big. I've seen ones that are probably 13 inches long. Really cool. I love lizards. They are really cool critters. Yeah. I like how wiggly lizards are. Me too, iconic song. Yeah. Yeah. And for North America, exactly, Claire, yeah. Yeah, they are, I think, one of the larger lizards we have in North America. I'm not sure if we get like green iguanas native to, they might only be South America native to there. And we don't have any native monitor lizards. Gila monsters also get really big. And they do live in this part of the country, but I've never seen one before. Not in the wild. And then I think you got to go down into Mexico before you get Mexican beaded lizards, which are a close relative of the Gila monster. But anyway, we've got plenty of lizards here, and snakes too, which strictly speaking are a kind of lizard. I've seen, was it like, what are they called? Coach whip snake? I think I've seen them out here, and I've definitely seen several rattlesnakes. In fact, at one point in time, I had a rattlesnake in this very plastic bin. We had one in camp, and then I scooped it up, put it in this bin, and then walked it down the road and let it go. It's cool having snakes around. They keep the mice away. Or they eat the mice, at least. And any mole lizards or legless lizards out there? I think it might be too dry for them as blue skies. They typically like to burrow in the ground, and here the ground tends to be very, very dry. So I don't think we have any mole lizards or legless lizards. But I am not a herpetologist, so yeah. Anywho, yeah. Let me get some water. But I also remembered to bring a book out today. There's the Krista Sadler's Dinosaur Frontier book. So I've got that in the bin now. We can use that as a visual aid if anybody has questions about the Cedar Mountain Formation and the flora and fauna here. Got some nice visuals in there. Let's see. And love that book. Yeah, thanks, Claire. Let me break it out just to show everybody real quick. Little teaser. But I'm in the book too, which is nice. So the work that we're doing here, you know, we could say that we are really on the forefront, maybe even the frontier of dinosaur paleontology in some ways. And that's the title of the book. So this is a lovely science book about these rocks in particular, about the Cedar Mountain Formation, the dinosaurs and other critters found within, and kind of all the human stories surrounding that too. So I'd highly recommend you check this book out. Krista Sadler is a good friend of ours. She is a nature writer. She's trained as a paleontologist. She's a river guide, just like all around adventurer and awesome person. And she's been writing these different books about different geological formations in this part of the country. And so, here we go. The cool thing about this book is that it provides a wonderful introduction to paleontology if you're new to this kind of thing, but then it builds on that information and goes in depth with these different groups of dinosaurs. Cretaceous Utah. So this part of the book is basically like, here's an intro to fossil science, here's some background info that you'll need to kind of appreciate the rest of this. And then, here we go, Cedar Mountain Formation. Cretaceous Utah. Beautiful photographs. Just excellent design in this book. Krista actually won an award for the layout and graphics in this book. Oh, there's a tuatara there. Nice. Yeah. Can you see those tuatara emotes? I think Golganek or Lenina, do you have those? Yeah. So we've got fossils of these guys from the Cedar Mountain Formation. And, and who's that? Could that be Uncle Don right there? What's cool is that a bunch of us are featured in this book. Here's an iguanodont, much like the one we're digging up here. This is Iguana colossus, which is probably a little bit younger than this dinosaur that we're excavating. So a little bit later in time. So iguanodontia in general, including the hadrosaurs, more derived later on. Yeah, beautiful iguanodont right there. Cedrorestes. Yeah. Anywho, really cool stuff. And then several of us are profiled in this book, so go back to the beginning. We've got this with Papa Jim. Yeah. There's Jim right there. He'll be out here in a week and a bit. And I think he'll be out here until the end of our fieldwork out here, around August 6th or so. So anyway, really excellent book. And there's a lot of stuff in here that's still kind of cutting edge. So there's new hypotheses and things that haven't really been published on in the scientific literature. So there's some cutting edge scientific gossip featured in here too. So if you want to be ahead of the game, this is an excellent book to get. And if you order it from Krista's website, she'll sign the copy for you and send it out. So mine is signed here. There we go. Yeah. For Danny, thanks for all the work you do to bring this amazing subject to the world. Oh, thank you, Krista. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do with these live streams too. I'm trying to bring this to all of you at home. And let's see. And there you go. Thank you, Claire, for the link. Yeah, thisearth.com. That's Krista actually had to self-publish the book. She was talking to several different science book publishers, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't really do full-color science books anymore." She goes, "What? What are you talking about?" So, if you want to support a Krista, she laid down a lot of money to be able to self-publish this book, and I think it's really reasonably priced for what it is. You should check it out. And Buddhahead says, how long do you typically stay at a site to collect or discover stuff? Do you return to the same sites, or do you move much at all? That's an excellent question, Buddhahead, and it gives me a good opportunity to talk about why we've moved. So, for the past 4 years, I think since 2022, 2022, 3, 4, and 5, we were working just over there. Oh, there we go, right there. See where the kind of bluish rocks are? Like tealish, bluish? You say blue as a geologist, and it's like, oh yeah, these rocks are really blue. And then a normal person will go, what are you talking about? That's brown. It's like, no, well, there's a substantial blue tinge to them. A geologist looks at those rocks and goes, wow, look how blue they are. Anyway, right over there. So like 30 meters away. That's where we were digging for the past 4 years. That part is called Ethan's Bathtub or Ethan's Wash. This is called Jim's Place. So this whole valley is just littered with all kinds of dinosaur fossils, just all over the place. But there are a few key spots where you can find lots and lots of them in these bone beds. There's just big accumulations of bones. This is one of these right here. So this is called Jim's Place. And Don and Jim and some other folks had been digging here from about 2006 or 7 up until 2010. They were excavating here and found hundreds of bones of iguanodonts and ankylosaurs. What we very, very strongly suspect are new species, and these are currently being worked on. And then they started finding stuff over there and kind of shifted focus over there for about 4 years. And now we're back over here. So we typically spend 3 weeks out summer. So we'll go from about mid-July until through the first week of here. We just got here on the 14th, and we'll be continuing to dig here until August 6th, and then we take off the next day. So within those 3 weeks, we will find hopefully hundreds of bones, and this is going to help us figure out exactly what kind of dinosaur we're looking at. This is going to be a new species, the iguanodont, and presumably the ankylosaur too. The more bones we can get, the better a description we can write, the more complete a scientific paper we can produce, the more unique characteristics we can find from this dinosaur to prove that it's different from all other dinosaurs ever published on. So, yeah, does that answer your question? We spend about 3 weeks out here, and we camp on site too. So just over this little rise here, there's camp back there, and all of our tents are set up there. If I raise the camera up, you might even be able to glimpse it. But yeah, an operation like this for 3 weeks of work, it's like it costs a few $1,000, I guess. Food, fuel, supplies, digging equipment, all that stuff, and lots of volunteer hours. So currently, everybody here in the quarry, including myself, is a volunteer, except for Uncle Don, who literally works for the state of Utah. So he's our boss man. And then Jim will be showing up, like I said, in about a week and a half, who also works for the state of Utah. And Pete Apocalypse, this site here, we're going to close this up beginning of August. But I might be back out here just a few miles that way. I might be joining Josh Lively's crew at like the beginning of October to go dig up some more armored dinosaurs. Still in the Cedar Mountain Formation, but a few million years younger than these rocks. So we move forward in time as we go over there. Again, it's just beyond the horizon there. That's Laurie's site, and I was there last September. Hopefully I'll be returning this year. We'll see. And Ms. Blue Skies says, do you anticipate a skull today, or not today, this dig? We're hoping to get some skull bones, yeah. So the stuff that we find here tends to be disarticulated, so the bones fall apart after the animal dies, and they get scattered around. So we'll find some skull bones. A skull is not just one bone, it's a bunch. So we're really hoping to get some of the more diagnostic skull bones. So I was talking with Ethan about this the other day. If we can get a squamosal from this iguanodont, we will be sitting pretty. Let's see. I wonder if we have... Yeah, where is that skull photo? There we go. You can kind of see this here. This is Hippodraco, which is a relative that we're digging up. You see these kind of seams in between the bones? So we've got the premaxillary bones, we've got the nasals, we've got the postorbitals and the lacrimal, denary and predenary bones. So this is nice because it's all articulated, but oftentimes when these animals die, the skull falls apart and all of these separate bones get scattered around. And so that's what we expect to see here. If we find a skull, it's not going to be a whole skull, most likely. 99% chance it'll be disarticulated. So the thing fell apart. And that tells us something, because when we find disarticulated bones like that, it means that this stuff was sitting around for a while before it got buried. We think that this is basically like an ancient wetland, kind of a swampy environment here. And so there would have been a bunch of dinosaurs around here living and dying, and, you know, elements would accumulate in here, different bones. It's not like you have a dinosaur that was immediately buried with all of the bones still in place. We're dealing with a bit more time here. There's time for stuff to fall apart before it gets buried and fossilized. So, yeah. Yeah, can we bother you for a second, Don, and ask about the depositional environment here? What we know about that?
Sure, I can give it a go.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, I didn't hear what you had already said before, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think based on what we can see from the rock itself, we think it was kind of a wetland, low-lying, marshy area.
Yeah, yeah.
We do get occasionally with some of the fossils, as you're preparing them, in some of the nooks and crannies, there'll be tiny little fish bones, like what must have been little minnow-sized animals that were maybe. So at times there would have been some standing water with little fish swimming around, and then the muddy stuff underneath. Some plants, we get some little Temskia, like a fern roots.
Yeah, yeah.
And they tend to go along horizontally when we find them, which makes you think there was lots of water.
Right. Yeah.
If you're looking for water, you'll go vertically.
Right.
But if there's plenty of water,
they could just spread out laterally. Yeah. And we think this is like standing water. What tells us that this was like a low energy environment? Like not fast flowing water, but just
because of the nature of the rock, if it's such fine grain.
Yeah.
And then there must have been occasional times where you probably got some exposure of it, and then other times when there was maybe floods that would. So since we seem to have some bone nuggets and things that are fairly worn on the same levels as some of the better looking bones,
right,
you kind of assume those came from a little further away.
Gotcha. They got carried in by flowing water.
Yeah, they've been abraded, and then you have some carcasses that were more recent.
Yeah.
So probably you get some floods that would bring up the pulse of sediment in and
Yeah.
hit the lower energy swamp area here and then just kind of settle
down, yeah.
And then, we know we had that sauropod that got mired, so that's
Yeah.
another indication that it was muddy.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of surprising we don't get more turtle and crocodile here.
It is, yeah. You would think in a swampy environment they'd be loving it.
Yeah, over in the tooth area,
Uh-huh.
we get lots of little croc teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is evidence, most of the osteoderms and plates that are of decent size over in Don's place, almost all of them have some tooth like puncture marks in them.
So somebody was chewing on these.
Yeah, and they tend to be conical, kind of we're thinking crocs.
Like a croc, yeah.
Yeah. We've never seen, well, let's see, do we have any, no, I don't think we have any signs of serrated tooth marks.
Gotcha.
But we did get that big carnosaur tooth over near the Merosaurus site, so we're kind of surprised that you would think there'd be more predation on a giant
absolutely.
sauropod carcass
Right.
sticking out of the mud. But some of them, the nature of the preservation, it's a little bit hard to get pristine bone surface where you might see the serrated marks from a carnosaur tooth.
Right.
So I'm sure the crocs were cruising around. And some of the crocs shed their teeth quite a bit when they eat too. So, it's not that croc teeth are uncommon, but certainly their osteoderms, and then also, so we've got minor amounts of crocodile material and some turtles.
Right.
I think, you'd also think you'd get a ankylosaur skull.
Yeah, you would hope so.
Like a big
They're pretty solid, yeah.
So we don't have that, but I think there's a good chance that
maybe we'll knock into one.
crocs were chewing on using the hide of an ankylosaur to clean their teeth.
Yeah. Cool.
Milk cone.
Thanks, Don.
Milk cone with the dinosaur works.
Yeah. We had a remark in the chat that this, digging is a lot shallower than I thought. So this is kind of a common thing that I have to explain when we're doing an excavation like this. When we're digging for dinosaurs, we don't just go dig a random pit somewhere. We find stuff that's eroding out of the surface, and then we dig down just as much as we have to. So if you were to just dig a random pit somewhere, well, around here the fossils are so common that maybe you'd actually knock into something. But in most places around the world, you've got to go walk around for miles and miles before you find anything worth excavating. And you find it eroding out of the surface. So this is a beautiful erosional environment here. It's very dry. There's not a lot of plants covering things. It's just bare rock on the surface. And as you get wind and rain, and then in the summers, snow and stuff and ice, this stuff erodes away. And it exposes bones that are underneath. And the bones also erode too. They can turn to dust pretty quickly. But the key is to find them before they're gone. And then you kind of follow them up because they get washed down a gully or down the side of a ravine or whatever. You find the source and you dig in there. And that's what we did here. And there's just scads of dinosaur bones all throughout this. So you'll see the crew digging down kind of from the top down over a wide area looking to expose things from the top down. So we don't actually have to dig a great big deep pit or anything. Stuff is pretty much on the surface. But the more we dig sometimes in a good area, the more we find. So sometimes the hole does get kind of deep, but it doesn't start off that way. It starts off really shallow because you're finding these things on the surface to begin with. Hope that makes sense. Yeah. Claire Burr says, do you think we explain prospecting more than many other things? I do think so. Yeah, Claire. I think so. And Becca Paintmore says, why is the squamosal bone so diagnostically significant? So it's a bone from near the back of the skull in iguanodont dinosaurs. And different iguanodonts have actually been named just based on differences in the squamosal bones. So it's a part of the body that evolves really quickly. Dinosaur skulls tend to be like this, where, Henry was helping give an explanation. Things like ribs, it's like a rib is a rib and stuff, but they don't evolve that quickly. Animal, the skull, the skull is the part that houses the mouth. You got your brain in there, your teeth are in there. You're doing your thinking and your eating and your communicating and everything else with your head. And with dinosaurs, in particular, their skulls evolve pretty quickly. So over millions of years, you get all of these changes that accumulate in the skull bones, and the other bones in the rest of the body often don't change as much. Ribs don't change very much. That being said, other parts of the postcrania, the bones behind the skull, they do change a lot too. Hip bones can be really good for iguanodont dinosaurs. Occasionally, like hand bones or foot bones or other limb bones, those can be pretty helpful. But like vertebrae and ribs, there's a ton of those, and they tend not to be very diagnostic. But the skull bones, those are important. And for the squamosal in particular, we've got another dinosaur called Iguanocolossus that's also from the Cedar Mountain Formation. And we have to prove that our dinosaur is different from Iguanocolossus. And I think Iguanocolossus may have been diagnosed based on its squamosal. So if we want to compare apples to apples, we've got to make sure that we get a squamosal. So here's Iguanocolossus. There's a life reconstruction of this animal. If we want to make sure that our new dinosaur is different from this one, we have to find a squamosal to really be able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that these things are different. Because if the squamosal bones look totally different between these two different dinosaurs, then nobody can really argue that they're the same thing. Does that make sense? Yeah. You're welcome, Becca Paintmore. Thank you for the great question. Yeah. Ooh, it's cooling down a little bit, look. Also, humidity is dropping 16%. 15%. Look at that. Yeah. It's a reminder I should drink some water. And again, if you want the inside scoop on all this stuff, this is a great place to start. Krista's book is phenomenal. Just came out, what was it, last year? Or the year before? 2024? Let's see. 2025. Shoot. Nice. Yeah. Good stuff. So yeah. And what would be likely the selective pressure causing changes in the bones, says Akira Eclipse? It doesn't necessarily have to be selective pressure. So it doesn't have to be natural selection. Some of this could be genetic drift. Over time, populations of living things just change. It doesn't have to be like something that's directed by some kind of pressure. And here, let me back up for everybody else who might not be familiar with these terms. Living things change over time. Evolution happens where each generation is a little bit different from the generation before it. Individuals will have different mutations, different combinations of genes. Think about how you're a little bit different from your parents. Like, sure, you've got a lot of stuff, but there's also gonna be new stuff. And when your parents mixed their genetic material to make you, it's almost like shuffling a deck of cards, or, I don't know, it's like, what would be a video game analogy for this? It's like your character selection screen. I'm trying to make this more understandable for a Twitch audience. There's different features that, that get kind of randomly selected. And so each individual is going to be a little bit different from their parents. Sometimes you have pressures that select for certain things. Like, say the climate is getting hotter and hotter over the course of a few centuries. Kind of like what's happening right now in the world. Well, those individuals who are better adapted to a hot environment, maybe they have shorter fur, or they're able to cool themselves off better because they sweat more or something like that. Those advantages or disadvantages, those features, often have a genetic component to them. There's something about your genetic makeup that gives you those abilities. And those who have those features might do a little bit better. They might leave more offspring, you know? They lead a longer life, more opportunity to reproduce. And so those features become more and more common throughout the population. And so that's how you can get certain features that just change over time as conditions change, you know? As things get hotter, those critters who are better able to cope with hotter temperatures, they survive better, they have more offspring. Those features become more and more common throughout the population. That's natural selection, where there's an outside force that's kind of making these critters change in a certain way. But you have other things like genetic drift, where it's like, maybe conditions are good and like everybody's doing fine, but certain features just become more common throughout a population over time. Yeah, it's easier to make this happen in smaller populations when there's fewer individuals. But yeah, genetic drift doesn't necessarily have to be directed by some sort of change in the environment. It could just be like, things just shift in one direction. So yeah, for a lot of this stuff, it probably is like that. For the example that we were using, the squamosal bone changing over time, that might have something to do with chewing ability in these animals, because the squamosal bone is one of the bones from the back of the skull. It has to do with like how the skull flexes or maybe doesn't flex as the jaws move. So maybe these animals are eating tougher plant material or softer plant material or something like that. Maybe it has something to do with development, where, they're less prone to a certain kind of, less prone to spraining their jaws if the squamosal bone is a little bit thicker, or if the joints around it are a little bit more flexible. Who knows, In science, finding out the why of, why a certain thing happened can be really tricky. And in science, we try not just to make up stories about stuff like this. We try to figure out what happened. Maybe it becomes clear why it happened. But, yeah, you have to kind of understand the what and the how before you understand the why, if that makes sense. So why do the squamosal bones change over time, and why do they look so different in these different iguanodont dinosaurs? I don't know. It's an important bone for determining just the overall shape and structure of the skull. So if other parts of the skull are changing, the squamosal is going to change too. Yeah. Again, the reason why we're focused on the squamosal bone is that Iguanocolossus has a good squamosal, and I think that is one of the reasons why it was diagnosed as a new dinosaur. So that's a big part of it. So part of it is like a historical accident. Oh yeah, we have got a good squamosal from that critter. We need to find one from this one too now, in order to be able to better compare them. Nelf, thank you for the 42 months. Really appreciate that. Thank you kindly. And so the squamosal's in the skull, so it's not the lower jaw. Here, I'll show you, Claire. And everybody else? Man, I have a 3D print of the Hippodraco skull. I wish I'd had time to paint that and bring it out here. That would have been cool to show you. But, here, let's go over here where it's cooler. It's hot right here. We'll go under these marvelous shade tarps. Oh, that's so nice. Okay. Here we go. Let's find that iguanodont skeletal diagram, and we'll talk about these bones. So you and I, chat, also have a squamosal bone. Actually, two of them, because they're paired in the back of our skull. Oh, where did that go? There we go. Iguanodon. Here's iguanodon here. The squamosal is this bone in the back of the skull right over here. The squamosals and the parietals are at the back of the skull. And you hear these bones discussed all the time when we're talking about these guys, the horned dinosaurs. Because the frill at the back of a ceratopsian skull is made up of these squamosals, these are on the side, and the parietals in the back. So Diablosaurus. Yeah.
Oh, actually, upright feels kind of good.
Yeah. And did we lose connectivity here? What's going on? That is just a satellite issue, I think. Anyway, did you catch the squamosal explanation with the ceratopsids and iguanodont and all that? I hope so. We're back. Thank you, Murph. Okay, good. Excellent.
It's pretty brutal out there in the sun, isn't it?
So anyway, the reason why we have a squamosal bone and iguanodonts do, and ceratopsids, is because all living things on our planet are related. And so your dinosaurs are over here. They're not too far from us as human beings. Over here, we're still vertebrate animals, we're amniotes. Sure, dinosaurs are reptiles, and humans are mammals. But in the grand scheme of things, we're pretty close. So the more closely related two different species are, the more features they usually share. So, an octopus does not have a squamosal bone. It doesn't have any bones at all. It's way over here, very distant from us. But it's still an animal. An octopus has more in common with us than, say, a fern does, or another kind of plant like that. So anyway, when you start learning about paleontology and you learn about the history of life on Earth, critters just start making more sense, you know? There's reasons for things, like we can start to understand the why, not just the what and the how, but the why of why different features are certain ways. When you look at the fossil record, animals and how they're similar or different, all these puzzle pieces start falling into place, you know? That's, I think, well, in my opinion, this is one of the, to get philosophical for a second, this is one of the biggest changes in human thought over the past few centuries, is that when we study this stuff, nature starts to make sense, you know? It's not just like, oh, whatever, must be magic. No, like there's a history there. There's a story to be learned. We can figure out why certain things are the way that they are when we look at the story behind them. When we figure out, like when we're doing work like this, we're helping figure out that story. I know it might seem kind of arcane, like, oh, scratching around in the dirt looking at bones like this, but this is how we gather those raw data to be able to figure out the history of life on Earth. It's through work like this, you know? And we're getting a raid here. Excellent. Hang on just a second. Who's there? Can't see the screen anymore. Night Raider Ursula Mojo. Welcome, welcome, Ursula and Raiders. Great to have you here. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Welcome back to Eastern Utah, where I'm digging up some dinosaurs. Or rather, the crew is digging up some dinosaurs now. I'm walking around yapping to the camera. But we're here with the Utah Geological Survey crew of paleontologists and students and volunteers. And we're digging up dinosaurs. Anything new over there, Jameson?
No, lots of rock.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, no, I got like all...
Well done, yeah.
Thank you.
So now you can just take that and keep working it downward?
Yeah, I was trying to get to that.
Yeah,
Which
excellent.
Doesn't compare to that, so...
Well, you're on your way.
No way.
Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
Nice. So, Jameson just started a couple days ago, and this is his first ever dinosaur dig, and he's learning fast. Well done.
I think I'm doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. And how's that vert looking, Laura?
It's looking very much the same.
Yeah.
It's a bit dustier.
Yeah.
Just really, it's so crumbly. I'm going out like in from as far out as possible.
Yeah.
Finding a lot of pebbles.
Interesting.
Okay. But no more to it yet.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Anything else good over here? It's working, yeah.
Yeah, not yet. But
Nice. I mean, every rock that you pull up, it's like, well, we know there's not a bone under here.
Yeah.
So, like,
Process of elimination.
you know? Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah. A negative result is still a result.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don, thank you so much.
Cool. All right. We've got some of the youngest members of our crew here.
I'm accepting my null hypothesis on this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my pleasure.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys could
Well,
make
cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for coming. Yeah. And thanks for your help emptying the buckets and everything.
it. I have no idea how many
Yeah.
people have asked and said they would and never did.
Here, let me go over this fight.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I didn't want to put the little kiddos on camera without asking permission. It's one of Don's friends he used to work with. He and his wife and his two little kids came out here to visit us for a day. I think they might be taken off now. But they were in the area and wanted to see what it's like to dig up some dinosaurs. So it was a cool experience. I had some plastic dinosaur models that I had let the kids play with for a while. The iguanodont and the Mierosaurus. Yeah, again, it's cool to be part of a project like this because this is a public service in a way, you know? We're trying to show people what it's really like to excavate fossils. Try and demystify it for them a little bit, whether it's in person, like when people show up to visit, or whether I'm doing these live streams, you know, to a wider audience across the world via the magic of Twitch. It's all kind of the same thing, you know? When you can see something like this firsthand, you understand it a whole heck of a lot better than you would have otherwise. And I think that's really cool. Yeah. The good stuff. Yeah, and welcome Just Floof. Gav1816, hello. Yeah.
Thanks everybody for...
And is the cable a little loose, getting the green-pink glitch? Let me take a look, make sure everything is connected properly. I think we're good. Yeah, it might be the satellite more than anything else, I'm not sure. But, yeah. And Buddha Head says, do you get to name the dinosaurs you discover, or does it follow some naming system? We do get to name them, yeah. A few naming conventions and stuff, but you can choose to follow those or not follow them for the most part. About what you can name a new animal, including an extinct animal. But when we... And it's not necessarily the person who discovers it who gets to name it. It's whoever writes the scientific paper, and I'll show you. There's our clipboard over there. I printed out some of the original descriptive papers for some of the dinosaurs from this little area here. So just over there, just over here, we had a new dinosaur. It's published in what, like 2015? So see those bluish rocks over there? Just right there is where Mierosaurus was from. And I'll show you the descriptive paper for this critter. So when you excavate a dinosaur like this, if you're lucky, it'll be something new. Although it's cool even when it's not new, when you get new specimens of a previously known animal. But it is fun when it's new. And we, there we go. We publish it in a paper like this. So, there's Jim's name in the author list, and there's Don. These are some of the bones they got from this big long-necked dinosaur called Mierosaurus. There's some more bones right there. They got some decent... Super exciting, because sauropod skulls are very rare. Here's how the bones were laid. So, yeah, there's the type specimen and referred material. And so, it's a pretty short paper here. Yeah, there we go, Mierosaurus. Here's how it seems to be related to other dinosaurs through phylogenetic analysis. But here we go. Mierosaurus Bob Youngeye. So this is named after two different people. Miera was the last name. There we go. Of Bernardo de Miera y Pacheco, a Spanish cartographer and chief scientist for the 1776 Dominguez Escalante expedition, the first European scientist to enter what is now Utah. So that's where Mierosaurus gets its name, after Bernardo de Miera y Pacheco. The species name acknowledges the importance of the underappreciated research by Robert Young on the early Cretaceous of Utah. So in finding this new dinosaur and showing in this paper that it's different from all other dinosaurs before, they were able to give it a new name, Mierosaurus. And oftentimes we'll name an animal after something interesting or unique about its anatomy, or something cool about the place that it's from, or we'll name it after a person, or in this case, two people, whom we want to honor. I really do think that's like the greatest honor a person can receive, is to have a dinosaur named after them. So it's pretty cool they were able to do that there. Yeah. And yeah, I'm glad you put that link there, Claire. The Mierosaurus Wikipedia page is superb. It's really well written. And if you want some good background, like there's a lot of decent background information about Doling's Bowl, about the Cedar Mountain Formation, about this time in the Age of Dinosaurs. That article's got it all. Really, really well done Wikipedia article. So I'd recommend checking it out. Thank you for posting it, Claire. And Nerduino, how are you doing? Is that Nerduino there? Did I miss him in the chat? Let's see. Oh, there he is. Nerduino, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. I hope you're having a good day. It's good to see you. So anyway, the dinosaur that we're digging up here is an iguanodont. So we're going to find iguanodont bones, and we'll probably find ankylosaur bones too. But this is the critter I'm kind of most excited about right now. This is iguanodon. So the real thing is much bigger than this, obviously. But our critter is a lot like this, but about maybe 20 million years older. And so more quote-unquote primitive than iguanodon. Our new guy probably doesn't have these big thumb spikes like this. But it would have the same general body shape, same generally shaped skull with a beak at the front of the mouth like that. It's a plant-eating animal. You know, not the most off-the-wall, exciting-looking dinosaur. You know, it's fairly standard, but you know, that's cool. Yeah. Our critter would actually look even more standard than this without the thumb spikes. Maybe a little bit more similar to Camptosaurus, if you're familiar with that critter. But we've got a ton of bones from the same, we think the same species over there, and from here too. We think that these rocks are basically the same age as those ones right over there. And so this is probably the same environment. These bones might even be exactly the same age. We're not totally sure. But they're close enough that we think this is the same critter. And a fairly recent development is we might actually have two different species of this type of dinosaur in these quarries, and it makes it complicated, because if you've got two animal descriptions, you have to try and sort out which bones belong to whom. But we might have two brand new iguanodonts right here, which is exciting. So within a couple years, hopefully this will get published, and all of you will be able to read about it. Hopefully you'll hear about it on the news too, if you follow news about new dinosaurs. It's going to be fun. We'll have a big celebration when that gets published. I'm excited about it. Nice. So yeah. And Bright Wizard says, I have an iguanodon vertebra here at home. Interesting. Okay. Are you from Europe, perhaps? Iguanodon is from Europe, iguanodon proper. But this family of dinosaurs kind of lived all over the world. We've got iguanodonts, members of Iguanodon today, from Europe originally, also from North America, from Asia. We have some things that might be iguanodontids from Australia, like Muttaburrasaurus. Although it might turn out that Muttaburrasaurus is something different altogether, like a Rhabdodontian, which would be cool. And I've heard rumors of iguanodontid bones from Antarctica too, but that might turn out to be something else.
Oh, that one like completely go. We used to have those. That's what happened.
And we have them from Africa too. What am I saying? Uranosaurus is from Africa, and Lurdosaurus. L-U-R-D-U-saurus. Lurdosaurus. Both from northern Africa. It's a group of dinosaurs. They were all over the place. And what's interesting is that the iguanodonts show up around the same time, or they start to really become successful around the same time that flowering plants are spreading out across the globe. And so these guys may have been really good at eating flowering plants, which were new at the time. And so the rise of the iguanodonts might coincide with the rise of the angiosperms, the flowering plants. And today it's like 90% of all plant species are flowering plants. And so this is like a big revolution when that happened. When flowering plants start to appear and become more widespread, it changed the flora all over the world. And then that's when iguanodonts spread out across the world too. And then later they give rise to the dinosaurs. Let's take a look at that. There's a lovely cladogram in here that talks about that. Let's see. There we go. Beautiful. Here we are. So here's Iguana colossus. That's from here in the Cedar Mountain Formation. So is Planocoxo. And Hippodraco. Earlier on you have Camptosaurus here. And Dryosaurus. Tenontosaurus, Thesalosaurus, Hypsilophodontids. These guys tend to get bigger over time. And they become more widespread throughout the globe. And then they give rise to the duck-billed dinosaurs. Those famous ones like Parasaurolophus. This is a descendant of earlier iguanodontians. So it's interesting that like this group starts to become more widespread and more kind of dominant in these ecosystems. They're just all over the place. They take over the world at the same time that flowering plants are doing that too. And it's at the same time that like stegosaurs disappear. And some of the other groups of dinosaurs, like the diplodocid sauropods, they become less common and then eventually disappear as well. And maybe it has something to do with changing plant communities. As the plants are changing, dinosaurs that may have been really well adapted to eat certain plants, maybe they start to disappear as those plants disappear. Again, we're getting back to that theme of like figuring out the why is difficult. You gotta figure out the what and the how first, and then the why, you know? I hope that makes sense. And Claire says, oh goodness, when messages get highlighted, they become harder to read. How many of one family of dinosaurs, like two iguanodontians or two ankylosaurids, do you think it'd be sustained by the environment? Do you think maybe this was just a place that happened to cross paths? It depends, yeah. So we're getting into the idea of like interspecific competition. Like, how can you have two similar animals in the same environment without having them, like one of them drive the other one into extinction? And so usually in a situation like that, if a species isn't going to go extinct, well, here, how do I explain this? Let's think about it like big cats in Africa. You got lions, you got leopards, you got cheetahs. These three cats, you know, they're all big cats. how do they keep from competing with one another? They're very similar. They're all part of Felidae, the cat family. How can they coexist? Hang out in trees during the day, they sleep up there, then at night they come down to hunt. They're ambush predators. They'll go after things like baboons or gazelle. They sneak up on them and they nab them in the middle of the night. And then during the daytime, they're hiding up in the trees, sleeping. Lions are active at night and during the day, but they live in big groups, and they will coordinate to hunt in packs. Lionesses will do this, where they'll cooperate to bring down large prey like zebras and wildebeest and stuff like that. So they're not really in direct competition with leopards most of the time. You know, they're doing different things in the environment. And then cheetahs are very specialized. So cheetahs are, I think, mostly daytime diurnal predators, but they are pursuit predators. They will chase down things like Thompson's gazelle and stuff. And so they're like running, you know, sprinting after their prey and then trying to eat it as quickly as they can. Cheetahs are really bad fighters. Lots of other animals can just boot a cheetah off of a kill and steal it from them if they want to. So like hyenas, Cape hunting dogs, lions, even vultures will sometimes just be like, hey cheetah, you just made a kill. Get out of here, I'm gonna eat that. Get lost. The point that I'm making is that all of these different critters, despite being pretty similar, they're all big cats. They're all kind of doing something different in their environment. And for dinosaurs, when we're looking at these ancient environments, like the lower yellow cat member of the Cedar Mountain Formation, we don't know what these different niches are, these different jobs. Like, what are these different dinosaurs doing and how can they coexist, you know? How are they eating different foods or hanging out in different parts of the environment so they're not directly competing with each other too much? We can start to figure this stuff out by, say, looking at their teeth. What's the shape of the teeth? How are the teeth worn? How does that show how they're using them? What kind of plant material are they eating if they're plant eaters? Say, are the long-necked sauropods like Mierosaurus, are they browsing on the treetops while the iguanodontians are eating low-growing vegetation, you know, near the ground? You know, what's everybody doing? What's their job in the environment? We're not at that point yet with these guys. We're still trying to figure out what they are and how many species do we have and how are they different. That other stuff will come later. We got to build upon the basic information first. So, yeah. Paleoecology is the name for the study of ancient environments and how different critters interacted with one another. What are their jobs in the environment? What are they doing? You know, who eats whom and who avoids whom, and, you know, who's hanging out in the daytime or at night, or all that stuff. Your food webs and stuff like that. Paleoecology is, I think, really, really fascinating. And often you've got to deal with very limited information there. We're not really at that point yet with these guys. We're still just trying to figure out, like, well, who are they? But we'll get there. And the more bones that we excavate, the more teeth we find, the more information about these critters, and the more hypotheses we can test about the paleoecology of the lower yellow cat member of the Cedar Mountain Formation. Does that make sense? I hope so. Let's catch up the chat. Yeah, cheetahs never prosper. It's kind of true, bad refrigerator, yeah. And there you go, Charlie's Dragon makes a good point about these modern hoofed mammals. Zebras and wildebeest might eat different parts of the grass. One eats the top, the other eats the lower parts, so traveling together in herds is fine. There you go, yeah. So try to figure that out for, like, these dinosaurs, you know? We don't even know what they looked like yet, let alone, like, who's eating what part of which plants. So, yeah, it's exciting. Like, some people, I tell them this and they go, well, shoot, paleontology sounds really hard and frustrating. Information, you know, why bother? I go, well, that's really cool because there's so much left to learn, you know? Basic stuff that is just, it's fruit that's ripe for the picking. You know? We can find more of these fossils and figure them out. We can learn a lot of really cool stuff. Basic stuff that people will be building on for years and decades to come. So yeah. And Trick Track says the continents were already breaking apart in the time of Iguanodon. I'm surprised they're on all continents. We're talking about before Iguanodon here. And it's not Iguanodon itself appearing on all different continents. That's kind of an old idea. Back before we realized that a bunch of different critters that we were calling Iguanodon are actually different kinds of dinosaur, all part of the same group. Yeah, like if you look at... If you remember Walking with Dinosaurs, that BBC series from 1999, Iguanodon shows up a lot in that. You have Iguanodon in Europe, you have Iguanodon in North America. They're all over the place, and they're all, oh yes, Iguanodon, on the coast of Western Europe. Some of those we'd call Iguanodon, but the ones from North America, we'd have different names for now, because it turns out they're a little bit different. Things like Decododon, things like Iguanacolossus, things like Hippodraco. So yeah, even a lot of the things that we used to call Iguanodon from Europe now have different names. Like Mantell's Iguanodon specimen, the specimens are no longer Iguanodon, they're now Mantellosaurus, for the most part. Iguanodon has been broken up. There's a bunch of different critters now. It's not all Iguanodon anymore. The Iguanodon that we have that's still proper Iguanodon is Iguanodon bernisartensis, originally from Belgium. So yeah. I hope that makes sense. But the ancestor of Iguanodon must have been able to move to these different of the different Iguanodonts must have been able to move to different continents. And let's see if we can get a world map here at different stages during the Mesozoic. Oh, maybe not. I think that's probably in here. But anyway, one of the cool things is... I don't know if it's going to be in here. Europe and North America were connected at this time. Or if not connected, you could at least get from one place to the other by, like, island hopping. And when we have Jim here, he'll be happy to talk about this in depth. But one of the cool things is, during the Jurassic period, you have a lot of similarities between dinosaurs here in Utah and then dinosaurs in Portugal and Spain. In fact, some of them look practically identical. So they could walk back and forth at the time. And then, like, Europe and North America there was a land connection between them, at least for a while. And then the continents start to break apart a little bit. And at this time, right after the late Jurassic, the very beginning of the Cretaceous, it seems like you could still get from Europe to North America by walking, or at least by swimming short distances between islands as the continents start to drift apart. And what's cool is, like, a bunch of our North American dinosaurs at the end of the Jurassic go extinct. Allosaurus, Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, they all seem to disappear. And in their place, you have all these dinosaurs showing up in North America at this time.
Well, at least you know that about us.
That look very European.
Yeah.
You have things that look like Iguanodon. You have things that look like the Polycanthine ankylosaurs, the armored dinosaurs from England and parts of Europe. Yeah, so the sauropods too, the turriosaurs, seem to march over here from Europe. They didn't exist in North America before, to my knowledge. And then suddenly we've got these European sauropods here. So critters were moving across the ancestral Atlantic Ocean. Back when the Atlantic was super narrow, they were able to get across, it looks like. Come over from Europe into North America and fill these gaps that were left by the extinction of some of these North American dinosaurs. That makes sense? Yeah. And Anno the Hero, thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate that. Yeah. And Akira Eclipse says, how do you go about creating phylogenetic trees from fossils since most extant species use DNA profiles? Great question, yeah. We don't have DNA for dinosaur fossils. DNA doesn't last that long. It's a really fragile molecule. It's got a pretty brief window between the death of the animal and when all the DNA is just gone or useless. So we have to look at morphology. We're looking at the bones. Rather than saying, oh, well, we're going to build a family tree based on how similar or different the genes are. Instead, you do that with characteristics in the bones. So, oh, the femur is exactly twice as long as the humerus. That's a character that could be a 1 or a 0. And well, if the femur's not twice as long as the humerus, and that's a 0, and say it is, then it's a 1. That's a character that you can use. And you create all these characters like this, character states, based on different features of the bones. And then you plug that into a computer, and that's how you generate your family tree. We don't have DNA for these things, so we use what we've got. We use the bones. And in some ways, I always thought that this was a lot more subjective than when you're just using DNA. But I've been able to talk with some geneticists, like Balint and Lita from Science Streams. I talked to Balint about this once, and he's like, no, even with DNA, it can be pretty subjective, it's not super cut and dry. That made me feel a little bit better about our morphological character states we use for phylogenies. Anyway, does that make sense? Yeah. And Buddhahead says, is there a global governing body that keeps track of everything? No, not really. Well, yes and no. We have if we're talking about names of dinosaurs and other animals, there's a thing called the ICZN, the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. And so this is like an international governing body that it does keep track of the names, and they also make and maintain the rules for how you name animals. No two animals can have exactly the same scientific name. You can't name them after yourself. Rules like that. And then if there's disputes over this kind of thing, then then the ICZN can issue a ruling on it. But we don't really talk about that too much because it's it's not all that common that we need that kind of thing. It's a little bit different from many of you probably remember when, wasn't there an international union of astronomers who all got together and voted on whether or not Pluto should be considered a planet? We don't really have that kind of thing for dinosaur paleontology. And if we do, it's pretty much only about names and particulars about whether or not a certain name has priority over another one or whatever. So instead, the way that we work on things and I'll give you an example. Nanotyrannus. This critter was in the news recently because last October, November, a new paper was published that said, well, Nanotyrannus does seem like it's different from T-Rex. It's not just a juvenile T-Rex. It's a different kind of dinosaur. And here's our paper where we argue the case. And it's not like it became official right there. Rule is valid. No, this stuff in paleontology is kind of built on consensus. So, I think more than people in the general public realize. Ultimately, it's going to come down to, over years and years, or disagree that Nanotyrannus is valid or not. And so this is just going to be an organic emerging consensus. It's going to develop over time. And that might seem kind of slow and boring, but that's how it works. A lot of science is that's just the way that it goes. It's not like there's some shadowy cabal of scientists who all vote on whether or not Nanotyrannus is valid. It's just the people who work with tyrannosaurs what do they think? And like, as more evidence comes to light, as more papers are published, you know, how do opinions just kind of gradually shift over time? That's kind of how these things work. I hope that makes sense. Let me scroll down. And Murph says, wondering if Don heard Diabloceratops made it into the aisle or if he keeps up with it in media. He doesn't, no. Don's relationship to Diabloceratops is funny because he discovered that dinosaur. And he's proud of that. And like, he's got some framed art prints of like people who've done paintings of Diabloceratops in his house. He's got a Diabloceratops skull cast mounted up above the fireplace in his living room. And he's got like a few models and stuff that people have purchased for him as a little gift. Will often let crew members come stay at his house if they fly in, like if they get a flight into Utah, say they're flying in from England or from Brazil or something. I don't know why I said Brazil. From England or from Pennsylvania or whatever. Sometimes people will stay with Don for like a day or two before everybody drives out here to the site. And so like oftentimes people will get him a little Diabloceratops thing as a thank you gift. But I don't think Don keeps up with Don's not really a dinosaur guy. Maybe we'll let him say that himself. We'll kind of explain that. But yeah, it's funny. This is something that you'll see among a lot of scientists, is like they might have made a cool discovery and
I've got a logbook I've been writing down on your the other day when we went to
but it oftentimes the scientists are not necessarily like,
I punched you out, girl.
they're not like fans of the thing that they do. It's just like, well, this is my work and I'm proud to have contributed this, but it's not like I really follow it obsessively in popular media or anything. Yeah.
So you would want to do something.
Here, Don, can we bug you for a second?
Sure.
Appreciate it. We were just talking a little bit about Diabloceratops, and I was trying to make the point that, like, you discovered this dinosaur, but dinosaurs aren't necessarily, like, your favorite thing. So it's like, you're really proud that you did that, and it's super awesome. But someone was asking, like, is Don really excited that Diabloceratops appeared in this new video game? I'm like, does he know about that? And
Well, I'm afraid I don't really know about that.
yeah.
I'm a little. I mean, I grew up playing video games, as in those stand-up things that were in the arcade,
There you go, yeah.
like Galaga and Pac-Man and
Oh, yeah.
Asteroid.
I really like Galaga, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, after that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, you don't really know about a lot of that stuff. I mean,
Right.
it's sort of become part of pop culture.
For sure, yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is it's a cool specimen and a cool dinosaur, but also
It's a cool
it's
name.
a cool name.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. Who picked that name, by the way?
So we had been casting around for names, and I believe that it was Scott Hartman, the artist.
Oh,
who
really?
Came up with that.
Oh,
and
very
suggested
cool.
it, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, that was one of those first years.
Yeah.
When Jim and I both heard Diabloceratops, we're like, that's it.
Nice, yeah.
Because, just with the horns off the top, like it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
devil thing. And then it also, like, since it's a Utah dinosaur, we thought
Yeah.
that'd be a great name to stick it to the dominant culture.
A little bit subversive. We can appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes when people say, well, how come you didn't name it after yourself? I go,
Also,
maybe I did.
there you go. Flaunting
Yeah,
the
I
ICGN rules.
I usually say it's bad,
Be all right.
bad form to
Yeah.
name it after yourself.
Well, also, you can't do that. There's an
Yeah.
official rule
No,
in the
you kinda
ICGN,
have
yeah.
And I mean, not that I would want to name it
Yeah,
after
of
myself.
course, yeah.
Because if there's anything I am, it's humble, as you know. So.
Yeah. And Claire Burr says, Don Lucifer de Blue.
I think if you were to talk to my mom at a certain time in my life, she would totally agreed with that.
Nice.
Then my little brother came along, and it turns out I was actually pretty mild.
I feel like that's the same with my family, too. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Doug. Yeah. So, yeah. it's funny how the critters that we work on, we can grow really fond of them, but like, I feel like people in the public have got a different perspective on these things. And I don't want to say it's uncool to be really excited about a certain kind of dinosaur. Of course it's cool. Like, don't get it twisted. That's not what I'm trying to say. But when you're the person who makes the discovery, it might feel very to you. Like, yeah. But you're there on the ground as it happens, as you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when I met Joe Johnston, who's the Hollywood guy. He directed Jurassic Park 3 and October Sky, and I think Jumanji, and some of those Marvel movies, I think. Joe Johnston. He worked. He directed Jurassic Park 3, and so he used to come out with us into the field sometimes with Museum of the Rockies. And Joe Johnston, I think, may have started his career working on Star Wars, and so he did some of the original concept art for like Boba Fett and AT-AT walkers and TIE fighters and all kinds of stuff like that. He like designed a lot of this stuff. So these things that are like, people go nuts over them in the general public. It's like, pop culture, I was going to say milestones, but no, things that are very popular in popular culture. So we were there at like a 4th of July celebration with him one summer in between field work. And Denver Fowler and I were, for whatever reason, we got into an argument about AT-AT walkers. He insisted that they're called AT-AT walkers. And I'm like, no, AT-AT walker. It stands for All-Terrain Armored Transport, AT-AT. And then you have the AT-ST walker, the Scout walker, like, and then I realized, like, oh shoot, Joe Johnston is right there. And he, like, designed these things. Let's go straight to the source and let's ask him about it. And I really regret doing that because I went up and I asked Joe, and he was real sheepish about it. He was like, I don't know. On set, we just called them snow walkers. It's like he did not want to be asked this. And sometimes the people who are like closest to the cool thing, they're not nerding out about it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? You picking up what I'm putting down? Yeah. Anyhow. And so there is no official answer as to whether or not it's AT-AT or AT-AT. Like, at the end of the day, it kind of doesn't matter, Yeah. It also reminds me of that moment from The Simpsons. If I were back home in my office, I'd just play the clip. But from the monorail episode, where the Music Man guy, Lyle Landley, is trying to sell a monorail to the town of Springfield. It's like a big scam. So he's talking to this group of kids in the classroom about the monorail, getting them really excited about this monorail. And one of the kids raises his hand and he goes, can it outrun the Flash? And he goes, you bet, kid. Another kid raises his hand and he goes, can Superman outrun the Flash? And he goes, sure, why not? It's kind of like that sometimes. You talk to somebody who actually like does the work, or like built the thing, or discovered the dinosaur. You ask them about it. Oh, could it beat T-Rex in a fight? Like, I don't know, kid. Like, sometimes that's kind of what it feels like when somebody like runs up to dawn. They're like, "Oh, you found Diabloceratops! Wow! Could it swim up waterfalls and ride a skateboard?" Like, probably not. I don't. Anyhow, yeah. We have that as a comment. We do, don't we, Claire? Yeah. Yeah. Was it Who Wins? Yeah. Thank you. And yet, this is a really good point, Fate Bender. Yeah, as much as we would like to, we don't get to control people's perceptions and handling of our creations once we put them out into the world. That's a really good point. Yeah, it ends up just belonging to humanity once you put it out there. And I think that's kind of beautiful. And I was a big dinosaur fanboy as a kid, so don't think that I'm looking down on anybody who is just a big fan of dinosaurs, because I'm not. I think sometimes that could be kind of an unhealthy, verging on toxic kind of attitude, where it's like, well, you like dinosaurs? Like, we dig up dinosaurs and, like, we don't even like them because we're cooler than that. It's like, no, that's a lousy attitude to have. But I appreciate that people in the general public love this stuff and get really enthused about it. And I think it's the job of paleontologists and people who actually work on these things to take that enthusiasm and direct it in productive directions. Yeah, in a really redundant way of saying. To take that enthusiasm and push it in directions that are productive. Because that enthusiasm for dinosaurs can be used to get people interested in science in general. Get them interested in finding out cool things about the world around them. Then you start learning about the history of the Earth. Like, how long ago, and why did they disappear? And why were they so successful for so long before going extinct? And wait, shoot, they didn't go extinct. Birds are actually dinosaurs? That's cool too. It helps you see the world in a different way. It makes you more scientifically literate, makes you more interested in what's real and true. Dinosaurs inherently have an authenticity about them because they were real living animals. And the only way that we can learn about them is through the process of science. And that is something. And I think we as scientists and as paleontologists, we should be doing a better job of directing that enthusiasm for dinosaurs into a general enthusiasm for science as a whole, you know? But it's still cool to really love dinosaurs too, and I absolutely do. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Anywho. Sikarato says, why did birds survive the asteroids, though? Well, that massive asteroid strike that caused the extinction at the end of the Cretaceous, it drove like maybe 70% of all species on Earth into extinction. Animals and plants, both on land and in the oceans, too. And also, birds nearly went extinct. Most bird species died out at that time, too. Only a few bird species survived, just like only a few mammal species survived. In some ways, they just got lucky. But the birds that survived, those few lucky species seem to have been small. They maybe mostly ate seeds, or just ate like crud that they found in the water. And so when the whole world kind of went to hell, if you're eating seeds or sludge that you find in the water, maybe you stand a good chance at survival. Maybe that's the answer, you know? We're still kind of figuring some of this stuff out, but yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah, birds had plot armor. There you go, Ace of Spades, yeah. No, most of them didn't. Most birds went extinct. Yeah. And Murph says, I think it's cool that Don could play a game that had a critter he discovered. It's interesting how dinosaurs are blended into our culture. Absolutely, Murph. And I think that's something that some paleontologists do get kind of frustrated that, like, members of the public are so interested in dinosaurs, especially if you're a paleontologist who doesn't work on dinosaurs. If you work on fossil mammals or fishes, fossil amphibians, fossil invertebrates, fossil plankton, you'd be like, oh boy, that's all anybody cares about from the fossil record is dinosaurs, dinosaurs, dinosaurs. I don't necessarily feel that way because I work on. But I do think it's really cool that, like, there's some part of the history of life on Earth that is just it appeals to people so much, and that's dinosaurs, you know? And I think in some ways it's the responsibility of dinosaur paleontologists to stoke that enthusiasm, to help that grow and flourish in the general public, and also, when we can, direct it toward the rest of the history of life on Earth, too. Everything from trilobites to eurypterids, to fossil mammals, fossil fishes, fossil... All of this stuff is interesting, scientifically, and it can be interesting from like a pop culture standpoint, too. Dinosaurs kind of sell themselves. They're very marketable in that way. But maybe we can take some of that showbiz cred that dinosaurs have, that star power, and spread it around a little bit to the other critters as well. Because again, it's learning about the history of life on Earth that's so important. When people get that perspective, when they understand that we as human beings are relative newcomers on this planet, and there have been so many groups of organisms that came before us that went extinct, and we could go extinct too if we're not careful. In fact, we're kind of driving ourselves closer to extinction by continuing to wreck our planet. If we can get people to understand that idea through understanding the history of life on Earth, maybe we can save ourselves as a species, you know? I know this sounds really lofty, but like, these are the things that I think about as a fossil scientist, you know? Paleontology is important like that. I think it's imperative that we not downplay that as scientists. Like, this stuff matters, you know? Yeah. Gav says, dinosaurs, they've got what people crave. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Bound Sketches. Hey, welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. Ugh. Were you doing some sketching on art? Excellent. Welcome, welcome. Sunny Love, how you doing? Trailbound Sketches, thanks for rating in. Welcome to Eastern Utah. I'm making some assumptions based on your name, but I'm assuming that you're interested in art and maybe in being outdoors, maybe hiking on trails and stuff. You might be interested to know that we are just a few miles from Arches National Park, which has some of those beautiful trails in the world. That is just over there, like just over the horizon. If we were to hop over that big ridge there, you could see Arches National Park from the other side, with Skyline Arch and maybe look at Arch up there too. We're out here in eastern Utah digging up dinosaurs with the Utah Geological Survey, digging in rocks that are about 142 million years old. And we've got, we think, at least one, maybe two, maybe more new species of dinosaur in this very quarry. So I'm glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Anyway, I hope you had an excellent stream, Trailbound Sketches. I appreciate the raid. It's good to have you here. Yeah.
And the number that actually graduates in.
All right. Hot enough for everybody in here?
No, absolutely not. Can you not turn the heat up just a little bit?
Maybe just bring one of those.
I'll see what I can do.
Can you
Some
get a
space heaters?
spritzer? I don't think there's enough humidity.
Yeah, we could bring the generator over and just fill this whole area up with fumes.
Oh, and then
too.
we'll have gas fumes too. Great.
Cool stuff, you know? Although we've got plenty of cool stuff in here already. Laura put a bunch more glue on the vertebra there, looks like.
Now it's all shiny.
There we go, yeah, just sparkling. Yeah, I'll put the shadow from the microphone directly over it so the chat knows what we're looking at.
Nice.
There we go, right there.
Really smart.
Yeah. Anything over here, Jameson?
No.
It's a really nice looking hole there that you're digging.
I'm trying to find a
like a lateral surface
yes.
that just continues, yeah.
Yeah, a better level that I like.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like that.
Right
Yeah.
when like she uncovered
A little bit deeper and the rocks will start to get more,
Yes.
they'll break in larger pieces. It'll be easier to find like a nice flat surface like that. But you're doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything cool over here, Raheem?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet? Yeah. What would you most want to find in the quarry?
Probably like something that's not like a vertebra and a rib, maybe.
Yeah. We're still need to find like an ankylosaur skull in here, and those do stay together sometimes. They're still fused. That would be cool to find.
Yeah. At this point, any bone will do at this point.
Yeah. No, let's reach for the sky though. Like, what kind of lepidosaur would you like to find? Do you prefer a squamate or a sphenodontian?
Oh, definitely a rhynchocephalian. So
Rhynchocephalian, nice. Okay. Yeah.
Some of the more obscure groups.
Yeah. Find us a new Tuatara species. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Yeah. Cool. Just talking with Raheem last night. I didn't realize that some of the areas that I visited in the post-SVP field trip in the UK last November, those are spots that are yielding fossils that Raheem is studying for his PhD. Do you want to talk about that to the chat real quick? Like your PhD project as well?
Yeah, so my PhD is looking at the Purbeck limestone group, which is a sequence of very late Jurassic and early Cretaceous rocks, which are basically situated along the southern coast of the UK. So the county is Dorset.
Nice.
So the coastline is called the Jurassic Coast.
Famous for its fossils, yeah.
So yeah, like there's like a bunch of material that's come from the Purbeck over the last sort of like couple 100 years. So I think the first fossils come from like the 1840s.
Nice.
So we've got
some birth of paleontology.
Yeah, so we've got like lizards, we've got turtles, we've got crocodilians, we've got some dinosaur material, but it's very fragmentary and not very prevalent.
Yeah.
We've got loads of fish material, mammals as well. So it's basically the plethora of tetrapod fauna there, and that's kind of what my PhD is on.
Very cool. So just kind of figuring out how these faunas are changing over time.
Yeah. So the Purbeck is actually really interesting because it actually kind of goes across the boundary between the Jurassic and the Cretaceous. So that's something that my PhD is focusing on, trying to see if we can see any kind of changes in the fauna across the boundary, which would be quite informative in trying to see if there's a wider pattern of like faunal change across the Jurassic Cretaceous boundary.
Just like we're seeing here with like, these dinosaurs and the other critters seem to be different from the ones just a few million years before in the Jurassic. Something big happened and changed. And it'd be interesting to see if you see a similar pattern there in the UK. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Raheem.
No worries.
Hey. Mira Mortal in the chat says, I live near Dorset. Quite excited about that. Yeah.
Nice. Whereabouts?
Yeah, where at there, Mira Mortal, if you don't mind not doxing yourself.
Yeah, put your address, man.
Maybe social security number too.
Put the 3 numbers on the back of that card. You
And your mother's maiden name.
Name of your first pet?
Yeah.
The road you grew up on.
123 Fake Street. Okay, that sounds legit.
come on. No, fine.
Nice.
Yeah, I was actually there like last month.
You were? Yeah.
At 123 Fake Street?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And we've got somebody else from the UK. Greetings from Wantage, Oxfordshire? Oxfordshire?
Oxfordshire, yeah. So,
Fake City doesn't exist.
we've got a really cool like new trackway that's been uncovered like around Oxfordshire. So I'm sure you're familiar with that, and I actually had the privilege of being able to work on it last year. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. I got to visit there in November after SVP this year. But yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so you've probably heard of Walter Coons, right?
And
so
we've got somebody from Pembrokeshire. Niffler, you're from Pembrokeshire? Interesting.
Oh, cool.
They could be listing fake places and I wouldn't know, so like please don't type anything uncouth into the chat.
Pembrokeshire is southwest Wales.
Oh, okay, nice.
I actually did some fieldwork there in my undergrad, so a lot of the geology students tend to go to Pembrokeshire to do like geological mapping.
That's very cool, yeah.
Is
that where, did William Strata Smith do some of his work there? I know he was from Wales, right?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with some stuff in Pembrokeshire.
Yeah, okay.
It's certainly some really cool geology though. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then Becca Patemore is from Huntingdon, Cambridgeshire.
Oh, we have Laura studying in Cambridge.
Yeah, Laura comes to us from Cambridge.
We've got someone from Huntingdon in Cambridge.
Yeah, Becca Patemore is an archaeologist. I recognize that name in the chat. Greetings from Christchurch, Dorset.
Oh.
Says Kevin619. So many Brits in the chat. This is
Yeah.
awesome. I had no idea.
Quite a few from Dorset
What time
as
is
well.
it there, Lauren?
Yeah. It's got to be
It
late, right?
is-
10 p.m. or so?
10 to 11?
Oh boy. Wow. Yeah.
That's some Nighthawks, okay.
Make sure you get some decent sleep if you're watching from the UK right now. I appreciate your viewership, but take care of yourself too. And hello from Leeds. It says nice.
We're covering the whole island at this point.
I know. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. Have we got any Scots in the call?
Anybody from the West Country, perhaps? I don't think that's been represented yet, right? No, is Wales in the West?
Wales is in the west.
But it's
and
not.
then
It's
the-
not. It's not
okay.
the West Country though. The West Country is like Cornwall and Devon and stuff.
Right.
Like
yeah.
Southwest.
And so excuse my ignorance as an uncouth American, but
Sorry, you need to know all
but
the counties in England.
the stereotypical pirate accent is actually like a West Country accent, right?
Yeah, that's like a Cornish accent.
Cornish
Yeah,
accent.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Like,
Don't,
"Oi, my son, you're
don't ask me
drinker."
to do it because I'm terrible at accents.
Okay, fair.
Is the Cornish Rex from there?
Sorry?
The Cornish Rex, the cat? Is that actually?
Never heard of the Cornish Rex, but I know.
Somebody look it up in the chat. Is the Cornish Rex from Cornwall or from the west of England? West Country? Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Just name-wise.
And Niffler says Wales is its own country. This is true. Yeah. But part of the United Kingdom.
Yep.
Yeah. It took me so long to like start to figure out the geography of the UK. So like Great Britain is the island. And Scotland is part of Great Britain, but Scotland is not part of England, nor is Wales.
So Great Britain is basically England, Wales, and Scotland.
Yes.
Then you've got the United Kingdom, which is England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland.
Right, which is part of a separate
Which is
island, Ireland.
Part of the Irish island.
Right,
which
yeah,
is
but
west of England.
so Ireland has people who are Irish, but there's also people in the northern part of Ireland, Northern Ireland,
Who are Northern Irish?
who would consider themselves British,
Yeah.
but people from Southern Ireland would not consider themselves British.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it took me a long time to sort of start to get these things straight. And people get very animated when you get them wrong, which fair enough. But yeah, I got to be careful.
If you are from the Republic of Ireland, you're Irish.
Yeah.
If you are from Northern Ireland, you are Irish and British.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And if you're do Scots consider themselves British?
Depends on the Scot.
Interesting. Okay.
But like, yes, officially we are British, but some Scots are like very, very vehemently like Scotland, just Scotland.
Right. Yeah. And they
others
may be aiming toward like Scottish independence or something.
Yeah.
Especially
Which
post-Brexit, yes.
we're not going to get into this right now because I don't really want to have like a whole political discussion during a paleontology stream. But yeah, interesting stuff though. Thank you. And Mira Mortal says I'm British and I still get it wrong. Well, thank you for saying that. It makes me feel a little bit slightly less daft. I will say.
Now every English person is
really gonna impress him.
Yeah. Thank you for everybody for being good sports. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. I need to go drink some more water before I get even more loopy here. But yeah, good stuff. Great Britain was the birthplace of dinosaur paleontology. I think I can say that without much controversy. And it's cool to have people from England and from the British Isles here in Utah. I remember Jim Kirkland is fond of saying this. He once brought out some British paleontologists like, I think Angela Milner. He brought her out here to Utah. And she worked in the early Cretaceous in England. Like around Sussex, you have Baryonyx and Iguanodont and some other dinosaurs from there. It might now be Mantellosaurus, but anyway. He brought her out here, and she's used to working in like, you know, they did some excavations in stone pits and quarries and stuff. Little bits of rock that you can find scattered among trees and buildings and stuff like that. he brought her out here and had her look out at this landscape, and she said, like, Jim, just within my eye line right here, there is more early Cretaceous rock just here in this valley than in all of England. And it just goes to show like how important this area is for understanding the dinosaurs and their world in the early Cretaceous. This is one of probably the best place in the world to find dinosaurs of that age. This science that started in England, and we're now carrying it forward here in Utah. But instead of iguanodont and baryonyx, we have Utahraptor and Gastonia and Iguanacolossus and these dinosaurs like this. And there's very interesting similarities between the dinosaurs in the UK and the dinosaurs right here in Utah. It's fascinating stuff. This is a really cool picture that we're painting, I guess, bit by bit with each new bone that we find. So yeah. And hello to you, Greenheart, too. Welcome, welcome. Sunny Love, thank you. Yeah. Anyhow, let's drink some more water. What time is it? 4 o'clock. We've got about another hour here. Has the temperature gone up? 111? Oh boy. That's pretty hot. What's that in Celsius for folks in more civilized countries? 111 degrees Fahrenheit. What's that in metric in Celsius? 44 degrees. Nice. Yeah, excellent. At least 3. You're not wrong, biggest Hobbit. Good stuff. But there's no way I'd rather spend my summer than being out here in the heat. It's going to be a bit cooler under the shade tarp. But here, speaking of temperatures, let's get out the IR thermometer. Get some surface temps here. We'll use our infrared thermometer. You point this to the ground. Red dot. It measures the surface temperature. Let's measure, say, the temperature of this right here. 112.1. Okay. Not too shabby. Let's try that right here.
Well, and of course he's been doing it for
128.8. Yeah, what's that in Celsius? And let's see how much cooler it is in the shade under Don's marvelous shade tarps. 88.5. Wow. From 128 to 88.
Can you hand me my down jacket? It's getting a little chilly.
You bet. Nice. So see the difference the shade tarp makes? It is, holy cow, that's from 128 to 88. So that's 12. Is that 30 or 40 degrees difference? What's that?
I think it's 40.
40 degrees difference. I'm not a mathematician. But yeah, 40 degrees difference. Like, this makes a huge, huge difference. Oh, and this is starting to come apart. I'm going to fix this real quick, Don. We've got a part of this coming askew.
It's been that way for a while. It's going to be hard because they're so tight.
Oh, really?
We'd have to loosen
Yeah, it's just the...
Okay, no worries then. Hopefully won't have a catastrophic collapse. But it is a lot of work to maintain shade tarps like this, but holy cow, is it worth it. 40 degree difference Fahrenheit between the shade and the sun. Yeah. There's if you're a paleontologist watching this and you want to know how you can achieve this kind of shade tarp coolness, You should check out the SVP website. If somebody does a Google search for vertpaleo.org and then Tarpology 501, you will find a presentation that Don did years ago. The PDF is uploaded, so like the slides from his talk, and it shows you how to put together shade tarps like this so that you can keep from killing your crews via heat exhaustion when you're working in this kind of environment. It is worth it. There are some crews around the world who are like, oh, shade tarps, we don't need that. That's wimpy stuff. And those folks do not know what they are talking about. Shade tarps are, they're such a quality of life improvement. You become so much more efficient when you're working. There's less risk of heat stroke, heat exhaustion, other heat-related illnesses. You don't actually have to drink, you know, as much water to stay alive as you do when it's 40 degrees cooler. Shade tarps they're a beautiful thing. And I thank Don for them every day when I'm out here. Yeah.
So 53.3 to 31.3.
And even lighting too. There you go, Ladina. Yeah. So I am very much an evangelist for shade tarps, for tarpology. You know, Don knows what he's doing, and we're grateful for that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes, a 40-degree difference, not a 40-degree day.
Don will be proud of this. Let me show him.
Especially in like
Hey, I don't work so good.
colors are also kind of
Here, Don, let me show you. I didn't even know that the mod put this. Claire probably put this together. But look right there. It says, check out. They made a special command just about tarpology with a link to the SVP web page where they have your presentation.
Oh, nice. All right,
So,
thank you. Yeah.
That's cool to see. Yeah.
That'll make me even more famous than Diabloceratops.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. Tarpon Zwerf. Tarpon like the fish? No? I don't know. Whatever joke you're making, it's sailing right over my head. Sorry, I'm not getting it. But, ontology, like the study of being? Is that what you mean? I'm not sure I follow. But anywho, yeah. We're up to 112 there now. Well, getting hotter. Got any questions? Now's a good time for it. Don't hesitate. Wow. And let's see. There you go, Pete B. Yeah. And thank you, Lenina. That's my dad in the chat. Harley0501. Thank you, Lenina, for the gift sub. I know he appreciates that. Dad, I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. I'm doing my best to stay cool out here. It's hot. Yeah, what's our... In the shade, 106. There we go. Like at minimum 106. 106. I think... Not too shabby. That's in the shade, by the way. And Freelancer says, what would happen if the Earth wouldn't reflect most of its sunlight? It'd be a lot hotter. I mean, that's the greenhouse effect, though. When you have greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane get pumped up into the atmosphere, that can cause overall warming of the Earth, and that's exactly what's happening right now. And it's funny, because that's a question that I get sometimes. It's like, there'll be a new person in the chat, and maybe they've seen some, like, fossil fuel industry propaganda or something like, oh, the temperature has always changed, and what's happening now, it must be natural, so, like, don't even worry about it. Take it from a paleontologist. When there is massive and rapid warming of our planet, you get mass extinction events. So, like, the majority of species on Earth can go extinct when that happens really quickly. And right now, at the rate at which human beings are warming our planet, this is faster than any other time in Earth history except maybe when the asteroid hit. But that was more of a global cooling than a global warming. Anyway, it's bad news. Like, take it from a paleontologist. When Earth warms really rapidly, bad stuff happens. And so that's why it's imperative that we turn this around right now and reverse course on warming the planet, or we will drive ourselves and many other species into extinction. That's one of the perspectives that studying paleontology can give you, is you can actually learn what happened to our planet long in the past, long before anybody was around to witness it, before human beings were around. Earth's climate has changed, and when it changes too rapidly, a ton of stuff goes extinct. It's bad news. Anyhow, I see that as one of the reasons why paleontology is so important. The perspective that it gives us is invaluable, and you can't get that anywhere else, you know? So yeah, that's why I'm so eager to share this stuff. Speaking of sharing things, is that a chunk of bone on the ground? We were talking about prospecting earlier. And when we go out to find new sites, we're looking at the ground like this for anything eroding out on the surface. So I was just kind of absent-mindedly surveying this, and that is some chert right there, with some lichen growing on it, which is why it looked funny. Here, there is some just found right there on the surface. So this whole valley is just littered with fossil bone from mostly dinosaurs, but also from crocs and turtles and other critters like that. It's just all over the place. It's funny because normally in a place like this, if you're going to go prospecting, you go to the high spots. You go to the rim of the valley for where you've got steep slopes and stuff. That's where you get a lot of erosion. But here in Doling's Bowl, it's different, where most of the good fossils are from right here on the valley floor. We're lucky that erosion has brought things down to the point where we're just starting to get into these bone layers. And that's why our site right there is where it is. So yeah, I wanted to walk over here and kind of give you that perspective. But yeah, cool. Put this back. A little bone fragment like that is not going to be scientifically valuable, except to help indicate this is where bone is coming out. So I put that back, and maybe it'll be useful in the future, but it's not worth collecting. And Murph says, does this ground here get frost and snow in winter? Typically it does. It did not this past year. Again, going on with the theme of global warming. As human beings warm the planet, things get warmer all over the place, and you get worse droughts and less snowfall. And I don't think they got any snow out here this past winter, which is wild. And with less snow, I mean, you can get less erosion, which means that it would be a longer amount of time before you can return to an area and expect to find new fossils eroding out if you're prospecting. Luckily, we know that there's bone. Just dig in. But, yeah. The topology looks great. Thanks, Freelancer. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, let's see. It says, which dinosaur was bigger or traveled in bigger groups, Coelophysis or Compsognathus? Oh, so Coelophysis was definitely larger. Coelophysis, I don't know, would probably be up to about here, at hip height or something on me. The Coelophysis maybe like 3 feet tall at the hips, maybe about 6 feet long, something like that. Compsognathus seems to be much smaller as a dinosaur, and the thing with Compsognathus that's tricky is that we have a few specimens of that critter, Compsognathus longipes, I think. They might be babies. there was a really interesting paper that came out a couple years ago by Andrea Cao, and he was arguing that maybe Compsognathus and Sinosauropteryx and the other compsognathid dinosaurs, members of this little family of dinosaurs, they might all just be babies of larger dinosaurs. So there's a chance that Compsognathus is just a baby of something like Allosaurus or Megalosaurus. It might not actually. It's an interesting hypothesis, scrutiny. But yeah, there's a chance that the thing that this might just be a baby. That's kind of a perennial problem with dinosaurs, is that they didn't grow in the same way that mammals do. When we're used to looking at big animals walking around today, those are usually mammals, you know? We're talking about moose and deer and elephants and rhinos and giraffes and wildebeest and hippos. You know, cows and horses and critters like they're all mammals, you know? The biggest animals walking around are mammals. And mammals have a very weird kind of growth trajectory where mammals usually give birth to live young. Only a few species still lay eggs, like platypus and echidna. Another mammal gives birth to live young. The young, in many cases, born relatively large.
Ontogeny.
Very different from how dinosaurs did. Dinosaurs laid eggs. And so even the very, very largest dinosaurs that ever lived laid eggs that were smaller than soccer balls. And so the babies would be, you know, like the size of a house cat or smaller. For an animal that might have been 130 feet long when it was full grown, when it's first born, it was like the size of a house cat or smaller. And so dinosaurs did a lot more changing over their lifetimes than most mammals do. Mammals are born and they look generally like small versions of the adults. And, you know, they're not expanding in size 1,000 times or something like some of the sauropods were. Big long-necked plant-eating dinosaurs. Many other dinosaurs go through like extreme size changes as they grow. Like just, it's bonkers to think about how much bigger they are as adults than babies. Even the largest mammals today, the whales, like when a blue whale is born, it weighs like several tons when it's first born. So even though it grows a lot, it's not growing, those growth changes are not as dramatic as for like a baby sauropod. So anyway, my point is that dinosaurs did a lot more, the big dinosaurs did a lot more growing than big mammals. And so many of them looked very, very different at different growth stages too. And so you might find a small dinosaur and you go, wow, what a cool small dinosaur. It's so weird looking. It might just look very, very different from the adults, and this could be the case with something like Compsognathus. You know, when it's full grown, if that is a baby, when it's full grown, it might look like Allosaurus or Megalosaurus or something like that. So these are things that we're still trying to figure out. I guess that's one of our themes of today is like, there's so many things in dinosaur paleontology that are still unknown. Some of it is very, very basic stuff. Like, is Compsognathus a baby or is it an adult? And like, what does that say about the structure of these ecosystems? And yeah, in some dinosaur-dominant ecosystems, you might not have had small species of dinosaur because those ecological jobs are just taken up by the juveniles. Like the dinosaurs that are running around eating bugs, you know, on the forest floor, those might just be the juveniles or the babies of the larger species, you know? So maybe there aren't like standalone small dinosaurs. Maybe there's not very many of them in some ecosystems. We're still figuring a lot of this stuff out, and it is the subject of intense debate right now among dinosaur paleontologists. So, yeah, interesting to think about. And how long did Coelophysis live, and during what period were they omnivores? So they're from the Triassic period, from early on in the age of dinosaurs. A friend and colleague of mine, Danny Barta, B-A-R-T-A, paper on growth of Coelophysis just a couple years ago. You should look that up if you're interested in it. But the way to figure out the lifespan of a dinosaur, or how old a dinosaur was when it died, how mature years it had grown, is by cutting the bones open and looking at growth rings inside. Colleagues were doing in that paper, and they found some really cool stuff. So I would check that out. I don't think they lived all that long. I struggle to remember the number of years they lived before they died. I want to say it was like 15 years, but I'm not totally sure. I'd look up that paper. But yeah. And Crimson Carnotaurus says, do compies? That's funny that... And it's a Jurassic Park thing. I don't think I've ever heard a paleontologist use that phrase. But Compsognathus, do they look very similar to any other known young of larger theropods? They do, actually. That's the thing, is that they do similar characteristics to, like, fragments we have of baby allosaurs and other carnosaurs like that, big meat eaters. The fossil record for babies for critters like Allosaurus is really poor. That's why this is still kind of a mystery. Like, it's conceivable that they look just like coelophyses. Excuse me, Compsognathus. It's conceivable that compies, to use that pop culture term, that they just look exactly like a baby Allosaurus would look in baby Allosauroids, you know? Anywho, yeah. The paper's title, this, let me click it, Murph, and let's see. Checking your browser. That's it. That's exactly it. Thank you, Murph. Yeah, from 2022. Osteohistology of a Triassic dinosaur population reveals highly variable growth trajectories typified early dinosaur ontogeny. So what they're saying there is that, now I'm remembering the gist of this paper, it turns out that a lot of them grew in different ways. Some of them would have been better fed than other ones and would have grown faster. There's a lot of what we would call plasticity in their growth. So sometimes, you know, they grow pretty quickly in a way that's not super weird. And sometimes they would grow in fits and starts as they get more food. Maybe there's droughts and stuff like that. So they're just kind of barely surviving and not growing much during certain years, and then they grow a lot in other years. I think that's the overall gist of that paper. So anyway, theropod dinosaurs in particular seem to do this, where like their growth is not linear. It can plateau, it can stop for a while, and then it can start up again, and yeah. So you got to be careful when you're doing histo on theropods in particular. So yeah. Whoop. Yeah. Yeah. You bet. You got something, Jason? Let's see here.
I found this too.
It looks like it might be planty. That could be bone though, yeah.
I don't know which side it was up. Yeah. I don't know which side it was up. I found that.
Yeah, set this aside so it doesn't get mixed up, but yeah, you could have some bone there. Very carefully remove some of these rocks like here and here. Peel them up very, very carefully.
Yeah, if someone's training them.
And you'll see if it continues laterally.
Okay.
Yeah. That could be some plant or it could be some bone.
What kind of plant or bone do you think?
If it's plant, it could be something like Tempskia, like that fern thing. Yeah. It's too early to say if it's what kind of bone it might be. It doesn't look like an osteoderm, like an armor plate from an ankylosaur.
Is that what this would be if it was?
I don't know.
It just rock, maybe?
Just rock. That looks like just rock, but there might be some like bone skin on it that peeled off. So like some of the surface of the bone. Sometimes as you lift these rocks off, it'll take a little bit of the surface of the bone with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't on top of it like this, it was like right here.
Oh, okay.
In other departments have done it, just not
Yeah. That's probably not super important, but just in case for now.
So that's gonna be.
But yeah. So yeah, nice. Continue to just peel away that surface so that you've got a clean surface there.
Right, yes.
And yeah, maybe that'll turn into something.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That's not smart.
Nice work. Keep it up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put your phone outside of the sun too.
Oh, thank you.
So it doesn't overheat. Yeah. There we go. Nice. Coming toward you.
Yeah, no, I had.
Yeah.
I'm excited to put that tarp up.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
That'll be very nice.
Yeah, and chat, this is where I was digging earlier. This area over here. And I'm kind of lucky that I started streaming just as the shadows started moving. This became into the purview of the blazing sun. But hopefully tomorrow we'll get another shade tarp set up here, so this area will be shady all day. Throw this apple core in the garbage too. Yeah. And Devil Dude 341. Have you seen Walking with? It's kind of the star of the show in the first episode. So if you're interested in that animal, I'd recommend checking that out. Coelophysis screen time there. Maybe that's how you found out about Coelophysis, but yeah. Critter. Very important early dinosaur. Like, Coelophysis is one of those dinosaurs that we have enough specimens of it that we can start to ask really interesting scientific questions. And all kinds of stuff like that. Most dinosaurs, we only have like one specimen, and usually it's really incomplete. With Coelophysis, we have literally hundreds of complete skeletons of that animal. Best represented. So it's pretty special, Coelophysis. Yeah. And yeah.
The first one that was described had damage.
Anyhow. And oh yeah, that's one of the cool things about Coelophysis too. I can tell you a story. For a long time, Coelophysis was famous for being a cannibal. There's that site Ghost Ranch in New Mexico. I think it's near where Georgia O'Keeffe had a house. She might have even owned owned the land there. But really famous dinosaur site, big quarry. And found maybe they died during a really bad drought. At least one little bones in its rib cage, so in between its ribs. And Coelophysis is the most common animal really in that quarry. So they found all these little bones in the rib cage, like from the stomach basically of a Coelophysis. And they said, holy cow, those must be baby Coelophysis bones. And they're way too big to be like an embryo. So it's not like that's a baby in utero. That was a baby that got eaten by an adult. Coelophysis were cannibals, and sometimes they ate their babies. And so you see this in a ton of older dinosaur books and stuff like that, and you see it in that episode of Walking with Dinosaurs from 1999. It was kind of an assumption that people made for a long time. It's like, oh yeah, those are definitely baby Coelophysis bones in the stomach. They ate each other. And then somebody looked really closely at those bones and determined those are not Coelophysis bones. Those are the bones of a critter that's not even a dinosaur. A little animal called a silosaur. So yeah, Coelophysis, maybe not a cannibal. At least we don't have direct evidence of that anymore. So, yeah. I think it was Sterling Nesbitt who managed to figure that out. A guy who's done a ton of important work in the Triassic period. And I remember being very amused when that happened. And back in the day, I used to be really into making T-shirt designs, and so I did a T-shirt design with a Coelophysis skeleton. There's a really famous one where its neck and its tail are all curled around toward each other, You see it in all kinds of dinosaur books and paintings and stuff like that. This one skeleton. I'll find it for you, actually. Coelophysis skeleton. Here we go. Images. Bingo! That's it right there. So its head and the tail are all curled around like that. So I took this image in the t-shirt design, and this is the one that I think had the little bones in the gut. Instead of the little bones in the gut, I put a book in there, in between the ribs, and then it had like an old literacy poster, like from the 70s, and it said, "Curl up with a good book." I thought this was really funny at the time. Yeah, I should redo that, actually. That was fun to make that, and my artistic skills have improved since then. That would be a fun project to redo that, modernize it. Yeah. Yeah, let's catch up to the chat. And that design must be great on a mug. Yeah, I thought it would be a cool purchase priest. Yeah. But yeah, anywho. Let's go see what else we got over here. How you doing, Henry?
Thermoregulated.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the same thing. Yeah.
Don was telling us all about fossil hyraxes and the extant ones.
Oh, nice, yeah. What do they do all day?
Thermoregulating. Yeah, what a life.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we do all day here.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, Don really likes shade tarps and everything, keeping cool. I can see why hyraxes are one of your favorite animals.
Yeah, that's right.
You can relate to them.
That's a real good.
Hyraxes are these really cool, they look almost like a groundhog or something, but they're related to manatees and elephants, which is neat. They're part of Afrotheria. I've heard them described as like a fuzzy potato with vampire teeth. I think it's a fun description. But basically what they do all day is they look out for predators, and they move into the sun, and they move into the shade. And they go back and forth just all day. And then they chew on some plants, and then they move into the sun, and then they move into the shade. They're not very good at like regulating their own temperature internally, so they kind of have to do like lizards, where they go bask in the sun and then cool off in the shade. Just thermoregulating. Yeah. So that's Don's favorite animals. He got to see them out in Egypt when he did field work there. He was seeing living ones, and then he was digging up fossil ones at the same time, which must have been kind of cool to be like, hey, we're digging up this critter, and then the descendants of that fossil critter are watching us do it as we're here in the quarry. That's pretty neat. Yeah. So yeah. But anyway, good stuff. Murph says, question, any thoughts on if these critters here are all similar in age, or are they more spread or family units? That's a great question. I wish Karen were here to talk about this, because she is actually working on these iguanodonts and working on writing the paper on them. We've got different bones from different individuals that are very different in size. And so we think we have juveniles, we probably have adults too. Like, it kind of runs the gamut size-wise. Whether or not they're part of a family group, we can't say. All these bones are scattered up. It's... yeah. And we don't know how long it took for all of these bones to accumulate. We don't know if we're talking about, oh, all these dinosaurs died in the same year, or did they die over the course of several centuries or even thousands of years and the bones just kind of piled up. It's hard to say, you know? So it's an excellent question, and I wish we had more information about that. But I appreciate you asking it, Murph. Yeah. And Sicarato says, were there any other animals that were competing with dinosaurs during their peak? That's an excellent question, too. Here, I'm going to drink some water, but I've got several water bottles here. One of them is super cold, so cold it's almost painful, which is nice. This one's not as cold. Let me drink out of that one. Whoa. Ah, that's nice. Dinosaurs competing with other animals. I love this question. So, yes, dinosaurs were definitely in competition with other animals at the time. Not so much on land, but in the air and in the sea, absolutely. Yeah. One of the interesting things about the age of dinosaurs is that we think of dinosaurs as being very dominant during the Mesozoic, like they're the biggest thing around. But it's not really true when you stop and think about it for a little while. Because dinosaurs were terrestrial animals. They lived on land. They did not really live in the oceans. So when we're looking at, excuse me, this diagram, where is that? There we are. Yeah. Dinosaurs begin here. All of these critters are dinosaurs. They all evolved from that first dinosaur. That's why they are dinosaurs. Pterosaurs, the flying reptiles, are not dinosaurs. Nor are the ichthyosaurs, or the mosasaurs, or the plesiosaurs, these creatures that were kind of dominant in the Earth's oceans. They're other kinds of reptile, but they're not dinosaurs. For whatever reason, dinosaurs never became dominant in the oceans. Other kinds of reptiles kind of, they ruled the seas. Kind of brief forays into the oceans. You've got several kinds of bird, like Hesperornis. Birds are a kind of dinosaur. You can trace them back to the first dinosaur. So birds are dinosaurs. And we had a few ocean-going birds during the age of dinosaurs. But they were mostly, you know, they were like 6 feet long, like 2 meters long at the longest. It'd be difficult to argue that they ruled the oceans. They were there, but like, they were not the big dog on the block. Likewise in the skies, you know, dinosaurs, for most of the Mesozoic, did not rule the skies. They were not the biggest animals flying around. Pterosaurs were, the flying reptiles, who were not dinosaurs. Eventually, dinosaurs did take over the skies. Birds. And we can argue about whether or not they did that during the Mesozoic. The flying reptiles, the pterosaurs, do seem to maybe get less common as the age of dinosaurs goes on. Throughout the Cretaceous, birds may have been kind of pushing the pterosaurs to the side. Or maybe not. We do know that pterosaurs went extinct at the end of the age of dinosaurs. A few species of bird did manage to. Yeah, they now rule the skies today. Most of the animals you see flying around today are birds, especially during the daytime. Bats are mostly relegated to flying around at night, for whatever reason. It might be it's because birds would eat them during the day. But yeah, anywho. But on land, dinosaurs were dominant. They were the biggest animals in just about every terrestrial environment during the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, and much of the Triassic too. And so the question is why? You know, today the biggest animals walking around are mammals. Mammals existed during the age of dinosaurs. They were around, but they were universally small. There was no mammal during the age of dinosaurs that was larger than like a Cocker Spaniel. In fact, a Cocker Spaniel would be a gargantuan mammal for the age of dinosaurs. Most of them are like mouse-sized. rat-sized maybe. So for whatever reason, dinosaurs seem to have outcompeted mammals, just kept them small. And it was only after the asteroid hit and all the big dinosaurs disappeared, except for a few birds, that that mammals finally had a chance to get big and evolve into large shapes and things like, you know, horses and bears and whales and camels and etc. Those did not exist during the age of dinosaurs. It was the asteroid. That was our big break as mammals, you know? That was kind of a deus ex machina. If it hadn't been for that, you and I wouldn't be here today. Yeah, interesting to think about. And hang on, is the camera not working? What are people talking about right now? These things, but I don't know if anybody's hearing me because people are talking about the cables not working. No, I think we're good. Flickering pretty bad. A satellite dish? I'm not sure. This should be working. I don't know what's going on. We're back? Okay, weird. I think it was a gap in satellite coverage or something. There's nothing I can do about that. Sorry. Yeah. This happens sometimes, you know? But I checked everything else and it was fine. It's satellite coverage. Anyway, we're out here in the middle of nowhere, so this is the only way that I can actually broadcast to you is via satellite. So it's not always perfect, you know? Yeah. But what were we talking about before? Talking about dinosaurs competing with other groups of animals. Yeah, for whatever reason, dinosaurs seem to have been suppressing them. I think that's one of the things that's really fascinating about the age of dinosaurs. Our ancestors, early mammals, they basically lived under the boot heel of the dinosaurs for 150 million years. And only after the dinosaurs are gone did the mammals really, get to do anything interesting. Sorry, mammal people, but that's just kind of how it is. Sure, you had a few little glidey mammals and a few little swimmy mammals, but for the most part, we're talking about voles, mice, and rats. Those were the body types for mammals. Actual rats didn't evolve until the Eocene or later, but mammals were mostly really small, little snivelly things until the extinction of all the dinosaurs, except for birds. So yeah. Yeah. But let me know if we've got any other questions. We got about 20 minutes left before I'm going to wrap things up here. Usually wrap up around 5 p.m. So if you've got questions, now's the time. Don't be shy. Let's go take a spin around the quarry again. Just look at things real quick. Jamison, did that thing turn into anything?
It turned into 3 parts.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Like it broke apart.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it a bone?
Don said it was a bone fragment.
Bone fragment, yeah.
So.
Well, nice, you're on the right track. Yeah.
Put me to the right a little bit so I can clean up that area.
Nice, okay.
So I guess I'll do that tomorrow.
Cool.
You
Yeah.
have to be 21 to be there.
Yeah, we'll probably be wrapping up here pretty soon. But yeah,
Hughes Hole?
you got to move a lot of rock to be able to find find bones, especially in a quarry like this. This is not easy as far as fieldwork goes anyway, in terms of the actual digging part.
I don't know.
If you were being trained in like the Hell Creek or something, it would be, the bone is like this nice chocolate brown, and sometimes the rock is really soft in a lot of sites.
And then the fossil's like a nice
Really, yeah.
color or something.
Yeah. Here, this is pretty technical work, but it's a good place to learn because, like, if you can do this, you could do a lot of stuff.
Good.
So yeah.
Not one that you
Yeah.
sort of go on a tour of, or like, you know, like shows like twice.
Yeah. Anything cool to show off over here? There's working. Yeah.
Just kind of working around.
Nice. Yeah.
Tomorrow
Greetings, people of the internet.
Everybody want to say hi to Henry? Yeah.
Hey, what up?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you really
probably have to reestablish the grid a little bit there to do something.
Oh boy. Crimson Carnotaurus with another dinosaur genus name pun. I hear BMW discovered a new species of ankylosaur. They're calling it the Minmi Cooper.
Oh, that's that scholarly humor. Yeah.
We got one chatter who always coming up with these puns like that. Yeah.
Alright. My spot's completely covered in sand. So.
Yeah, they're just like random things you can apply for if you happen
We had a question, how did we decide to dig at this site? Well, this is where the bones are, you know? It's as simple as that. But no, to give you a little bit more detail, this is an area where Jim and Don and some other people had found some bone eroding out on the surface. And then, obviously that's an indicator that there's more bone. They started digging here, and then this turned out to be a multi-year site. So we have just reopened this quarry a few days ago. But from 2006 through 2010, this is a really active dig site where we had hundreds of bones come out of here. So now, and then after 2010, they moved on to some other places, and now we're back. So, hoping to find a bunch more bones. This has been a really, really productive site in the past, and so we're just continuing on with that. So I hope that makes sense. And Leo's Labs, hey, thank you for the raid. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. How was your stream? I hope it was really good. Howdy. Liger W Man says, what is the most common mistake you see people make between specific dinosaurs? I.e., people think that two dinosaurs were alive at the same time or not? Ooh, if we're talking about, assuming that two dinosaurs were coeval when they weren't really. I mean, they lived at the same time and place. In a lot of older depictions of dinosaurs, you'll see T-Rex fighting Stegosaurus. And it's almost a cliche at this point. Those two dinosaurs not only didn't live at the same time, but T-Rex is closer in time to Elvis Presley than it is to Stegosaurus. It would be less chronologically inaccurate to have a Tyrannosaurus watching a Twitch stream than, fighting a Stegosaurus. Tyrannosaurus lived up until about 67 to 66. Stegosaurus lived up until about 145 million years ago. And so we're talking about like a 81 million year difference between them. T-Rex is closer in time to you and me than it is to Stegosaurus. So yeah, the age of dinosaurs is long, and there's a constantly changing cast of characters, and that's part of why our work here is exciting, is we're kind of uncovering a new chapter in the age of dinosaurs here in the earliest Cretaceous. Right after the extinction of Stegosaurus, we've got a new dinosaur cast of characters, and we're helping to figure out who those characters are at this site, finding some of these dinosaurs from the very beginning of the Cretaceous period. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. But yeah. Anyway, I think a lot of people just kind of assume, people in the general public, like somebody you sit next to on the bus, or maybe your teacher in school or whoever, they go, oh yeah, the age of dinosaurs. That's the dinosaur time, when all the dinosaurs are doing their dinosaur thing. Like it was one time. Like it's not 180 million years, you know? With a constantly changing cast of characters. Let me show you. Just here in Utah, we have one of the best records of dinosaurs anywhere in the world. And we can see that cast of characters change. We've got this lovely diagram in here that's specific to Utah. That shows that. Let's see, here we go. Yeah. So just in Utah, we have over 150 so far. New ones found all the time. As we move up through the Triassic and Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, these dinosaurs are changing. They do not stay the same. So in the Morrison Formation, late Jurassic, you have Allosaurus and Brachiosaurus and Stegosaurus and Diplodocus and Ceratosaurus. Then they all disappear at the end of the Jurassic. And then you get dinosaurs from this assemblage here. You get coelacanthings like Gastonia. You get sauropods like Mierosaurus and Moabosaurus. You get iguanodontians like Cedrorestes and Iguanocolossus. You get therizinosaurs like Falcarius. None of these guys were maybe the Ankylosaurs. Everybody else is new. They just show up here all of a sudden. And then you kind of slowly change over time, and some of them disappear. You get other dinosaurs that move in from Asia and from Europe. And then you get the ceratopsid dinosaurs with their horns that show up later on. And eventually you get the huge sauropods again, like Alamosaurus. Constantly changing cast of characters. Not like when you go to the dollar store and you buy like assorted plastic dinosaurs from the age of dinosaurs. They all lived together and fought each other. No. It would be kind of like, I don't know, if you were painting a picture, and it's like, oh, this is Americans from the age of America. There's George Washington, and then he's eating a pizza with Marilyn Monroe, and then and there's Samuel L. Jackson, and there's Abraham Lincoln, and they're having an arm wrestling match. It's like, these people didn't live at the same time, you know? Like, there's something, it might be fun to do that. Cool. Yeah, it might make a cool picture. But not exactly accurate, you know? It's the same with dinosaurs. Different ones lived at different times, and figuring out how these different dinosaur groups evolve and change over time, and what's the whole story there? Where are they coming from? Which groups are evolving into other groups, and which ones are moving over from other continents when certain ones go extinct and stuff like that? How does this cast of characters change? Is a soap opera a bad analogy there? It probably doesn't really work. But yeah, the rise and fall of different dinosaur dynasties. It's really interesting stuff. Yeah. Anywho, Peraz says it's too incomprehensible for people to understand. I wouldn't say that. I don't know. That's the thing, is that, like, people understand what they're presented with, what they learn about. You know, like, I have relatives who watch professional football, American football, and they know the names of all the characters, the players, and they know the stats on them and which teams they used to belong to. And then, you know, well, Thompson got traded for Jackson from this team, and then he made it into the draft and didn't do the blah blah. It's like, this stuff is incredibly arcane to me. I have no idea what they're talking about. And, like, this is all super complicated. But these people are really into it, and, like, they learn it effortlessly. It's not like they're sitting there studying it like they're cramming for a test. They just watch the games and maybe read about the games in the paper and stuff. This information over time. This is the same way where if people are presented with this information, like I'm trying to do here, you start to slowly absorb it, you know? You don't even realize that you're learning it. And before you know it, you know, all these different dinosaurs they're like your favorite football characters, you know? But yeah. Enjoy what you're doing. Of course, Paris. Yeah, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to rant about this. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, and that's part of what I'm trying to do out here by, like, you know, showing you an excavation as it's happening and answering questions. I hope to make this a little bit less arcane, you know? It's like, well, this stuff can't be too complicated. It's not rocket surgery if these guys are doing it, right? So, yeah, just trying to make it a little bit more accessible. Yeah. And that said, we've got people in the quarry who, you know, this is their first time ever digging up dinosaurs. Like Jameson over there, he's in high school. Yes. Yeah, and like, I don't know, Jameson, what did you think about this at first? Like when you were thinking about joining a dinosaur dig, did you have the impression at first it's like, oh no, I should have a PhD before I do something like this? Or when did you learn that this is something that you could actually do?
Well, it's kind of funny. I emailed Jim, and I checked my email for like a week, and I'm like, dang, he didn't answer me. And like 5 months later, I check and I see an email. I'm like, whoa. And well, I mean, I don't really know. My mom, I don't know if it was my mom or dad, but they were like, oh yeah, you're gonna be with a whole bunch of college students, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of weird. I hope they don't like make fun of me or anything for being so young.
Not yet. That comes later.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Obviously.
I mean, I was invited, and they know that I'm a high school student, so I didn't think like, okay, well, I need a whole bunch of
and you know a good deal about dinosaurs already, but like you're learning a lot of stuff too, and it's, I don't know, you just learn as you go.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I'm asking questions.
Exactly, yeah, and I appreciate that. And it's fun to talk about this sort of thing.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. One of the reasons why I do these live streams is I'm just trying to show people at home, like, this isn't rocket surgery. Like, you could be interested in this and learn about this, and you can come out and dig at us, you know, with a crew like this if you really wanted to. Yeah, it's not anything anybody has to think is particularly complicated. People don't need to be scared of this kind of science. It's just, here's how it works. You know? Yeah. But yeah, cool. Thanks, Jameson.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, and Paris says, but dinosaurs, no human ever seen them alive? We used to think that, Paris. We used to think that. Up until about the 1990s, you used to read in books all the time, like, no human being has ever seen a dinosaur. So profound. We've since realized that's wrong. Every living person, if they've seen anything, then they've seen a living dinosaur usually. If you've seen a bird, you've seen a living dinosaur. We started finding really cool fossils of feathered dinosaurs in China back in the 90s, and then suddenly all of these puzzle pieces started to fit into place. There had been a few paleontologists who had suspected that birds are probably a kind of dinosaur long before then, but the smoking gun was finding feathers on dinosaur fossils. We realized that, oh shoot, birds evolved from dinosaurs. They are a kind of dinosaur. So yeah, in some ways it kind of makes dinosaurs less mysterious. Look at their living representatives today, birds. But that being said, I don't want to detract from your point that if we're talking about non-bird dinosaurs, all the dinosaurs except for birds, yeah, no person has ever seen a living one. And I think that's kind of cool, actually, because it is profound, and that, yeah, no one's ever seen a living dinosaur except for birds.
Because this one girl has epilepsy.
The idea that we can learn anything at all about these animals is really special. Like, that is such a triumph of science, that we even know that these creatures existed, let alone learn how they're related to one another, how they lived, what they ate, their behaviors, things like that. Like, that is such a testament to the power of science that we can figure some of this stuff out by excavating fossils, you know? It's really, really neat. So yeah. But yeah, Marion G says this brings me to a serious juvenile question. Goosebump skin versus dino skin? What do you mean, dinosaur skin? So we do have fossilized skin from a number of different kinds of dinosaur. And sometimes it's got big scaly patterns, like you get these big, roughly like roundish scales on there. Sometimes the skin is a bit smoother, sometimes it has more of a pebbly texture. It depends what kind of dinosaur you're talking about. Again, dinosaurs are a very diverse group. We're talking about everything pods that are 30 feet. What is that in meters? It's like 40 meters long almost. Down to dinosaurs, you know? Some of them had only scaly skin on like their legs and their arms, and then the rest of them was covered with feathers. Sort of like you have with birds. I don't think there's any birds that have scaly hands today, but a lot of dinosaurs did. So anyway, dinosaurs were a diverse group, and you had all kinds of different skin textures on them. And we know this from finding fossilized skin impressions and literal fossilized skin, too. So, yeah, hope that makes sense. Frostpaw says, I seem to think Komodo dragons and crocodiles are descendants of a kind of dinosaur. They're not actually. So Komodo dragons are a kind of lizard, and they're reptiles. But crocodiles are much more closely related to dinosaurs. It's our family tree. Let me show you. Go find that diagram again. Yeah. So let's see. This is a really, I love this, simplified diagram. The way that we classify living things, as scientists, is based on what they evolved from. So every one of these animals is a dinosaur because it all evolved from the first dinosaur here. So these, by definition, are dinosaurs because they evolved from that first dinosaur. Crocodiles are over here. They're on a side branch. So they're not part of the dinosaur group. But both dinosaurs and crocs are part of a larger group. Think of crocs as being like cousins to the dinosaurs. They're not dinosaurs proper, but they're... You go back far enough and you get to an ancestor that both the dinosaurs and the crocs evolved from. To go back even further, back to like the base of Diapsida, the tile family tree. So crocs are closer to dinosaurs than lizards are. There's a Komodo dragon right there. But yeah. Birds, however, literally are dinosaurs because they evolved from earlier dinosaurs who had feathers. Does that make sense? So I'm always happy to talk about this kind of thing because fundamental concepts in biology, but they very, very rarely, if ever, get taught in American schools until maybe you go to college and take like a biology course. It's a serious problem in this country and a lot of other countries that like evolution just doesn't get taught. A lot of people are really scared of that idea, and a lot of those people have a lot of political power. So don't get me started about this. I could talk about it all day. We don't have time for that now because we're going to wrap up in just a minute or two here. I want to help with taking down these tarps, packing up the site, and we're going to go back to camp. So yeah. Man, that shade is so nice. These clouds, I'm enjoying them. Only 104. Lovely. Yeah, nice. So yeah. Pumpkin the Cat says that handbag made of synthetic T-Rex skin auctioned off on a scale of 1 to 10. How BS is that? Probably 12. That was essentially a scam, from what I understand. Not real. Yeah. Raptor says, what kind of schedule do you all work on? So we wake up not too long after the sun comes up. So like we stumble out of our tents and go over to camp and have breakfast between 7 and 8. And then usually around 9:15, we walk out here to the site. We were a little bit late doing that today. Set up the shade tarps and get to work. So usually we're working by like 9:30 a.m. And then we have lunch around noon or 1, I start the stream at 2, and then we work until about 5, sometimes 6. On a really hot day, we might end a little earlier. Yeah, so we basically work like 9:30 to 5. Might take 20-minute lunch break. Yeah, it's roughly 9 to 5. And then we'll go have dinner back in camp. We'll, cook up something on the barbecue grill, or we'll make curry with rice, or we'll do burritos like we did last night or something like that. Yeah, just sit around until it gets dark, and then we go to bed. So we don't have a campfire because it's way too dry. Like, the fire risk is too high. So you're not supposed to have open flames. So no campfire. Also, it's just too hot to have a campfire, you know? Ugh. But I think Dawn is going to set up the Christmas lights around camp tonight, so that'll be nice. We'll have some illumination, and that probably means people will stay up a little bit later if the lights are up. But yeah, I generally go to bed before 10, which is nice. You get a decent amount of sleep, wake up at 7. Yeah. Yeah. And is this area high risk for bushfires? I actually don't think so, Crimson. Dawn was really worried about bushfires, but like, what is there to burn, you know? I guess in some of these areas there's some grass, and like, we wouldn't want that to catch fire because it would go up like kerosene. So yeah, no fires. But yeah. I didn't bring all that stuff. Fieldwork tradition nowadays. But yeah, no karaoke here. But yeah. Anywho. The juniper. Oh yeah, that definitely burns. Like something fierce, ground level news. Good to see you, by the way. Man, I wish I could stay in chat, but I gotta wrap things up. We're taking down the shade tarps. I want to help out with that, so we're gonna find somebody to raid into, and I'll be streaming again 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, right here in the quarry tomorrow, if the weather holds. So I hope you all will tune in then. Don't go away just yet. We are gonna see whom we can raid into. Who else is live? I wonder if Paleo Stream is. Here we go. Home. Following. Let's see. Melissa in denial. Yeah, okay. Let's go right into Melissa, who is not a paleontologist, but an archaeologist and Egyptologist. She looks like she is starting shortly.
A spider over here.
Yeah? A cool one?
It's like small and yellow.
Oh. Let me see if I can wrap up the stream. If it's still there, I can take a picture for iNaturalist. But I gotta wrap this up.
Oh, he said he just left.
Oh, he just left? Okay. Well, hopefully we see the spider tomorrow.
Stream still on for a second? Hold it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Let's say hi to Chemo real quick.
I was gonna say, hey, to everybody who followed from the stream, I appreciate it greatly. I've been noticing the numbers, I've been noticing the people, and I greatly
Chemo digs dinos is the
Chemo finds
Chemo
dinos.
finds dinos. There we go. Yeah.
There might not be a lot of content after we're done here. The different research projects I do during the year. So,
okay. And if you get a big enough following, like maybe you want to continue it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
I don't think this is going to be a one summer event. I think this is going to be multi-year.
All right.
Hopefully.
So Instagram.com/Chemo finds dinos or something like that.
Yeah. Should be.
Chemo finds dinos on Instagram.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Definitely.
Give him a follow, everybody. Yeah. Thanks, Chemo. I appreciate the reminder.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You bet. Yeah. Give Chemo a follow. He's this is his first desert field work he's doing out here, and he's from Pennsylvania. It's been awesome having him in camp, and it's cool to see young paleontologists start to flourish, you know? Really proud of that we're able to help with that here. So yeah, give him a follow, everybody, if you're on Instagram. Melissa in denial. There we go. I think I spelled that right. Perfect. All right. We're going to wrap this up. Everybody, thank you for being here and hanging out with me today. Weekend stream. We're going to try and stream 7 days a week, conditions permitting, for the next almost 3 weeks here. So, all of you, thanks for being here and have an excellent rest of your weekend. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you to the subscribers and the gifters and the cheerers, the people who make these streams possible through their financial contributions. Couldn't do this without you. And the raiders and the new followers, thanks for coming over. I really appreciate it. It's going to be cool as we continue this excavation to see these new bones come out, and looking forward to showing them to you. And thank you also very, very much to the moderators who come in here day after day, keeping this a safe and welcoming community for anybody to show up and learn about fossils and learn about the history of life on Earth. Just how cool science is. So, thank you, mods. With that said, we're going to go right into Melissa in Denial, who is doing her lecture series on Egyptology. So let's go see what she's up to. All right. I hope to see you tomorrow, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.